They decided to go sledding on an air mattress.
So that didn't end very well, huh?
No, her teeth. I said, after $6,000 in orthodontic work, it kind of looked like she had meth mouth. So she's very lucky she didn't get hurt like way worse. The air mattress it was like a double or a queen, and so she and her flatmate were on this thing, and this hill like kind of flattened out, but beyond the bottom of the hill where it flattens out was this huge ledge and this giant drop off and a brick like walkway and then a big building. I'm like, what are you thinking? So they went off maybe I can just share the video. Actually, I'm gonna go grab some
video of the whole thing.
I do, because I said, yeah, who was recording this? So one of the other flatmates was standing on the side recording it. And so I'm like, yo, great. I almost watched you plummet to your death. Like it's all caught on video. It was horrifying, honestly, but we can laugh about it now. And another funny thing, or not funny, but so she has NHS, the National Health Insurance over there, because even though she has US insurance that we pay through the nose for, if you are a student over there and as an American student, you still have to buy into the NHS, which was a whopping $900 for 4 years, mind you. Think about that. But she went to go get her teeth fixed, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be thousands of dollars. Nope. And I'll show you her teeth. It was 45 pounds, which I believe is like $75 or something.
I think so, yeah.
It's crazy. That would have been thousands, I'm sure, here to fix her teeth. So it looks good as new, and she's lucky she didn't break her neck or something. It's really terrifying. But I'll be right back while you're setting up. I'm going to grab.
Yep, we're all set up. We're just wait for you. Okay. All right, that's it, everybody. Good night.
Brought to you by
the Unrig Summit 2018. Mm-hmm. I'm with her.
TYT.
TYT. Justice Democrats, donate here.
Donate here. Join Wolfpack today.
Okay.
Don't be whacked. Join Wolfpack.
Michael just checked that would be $63 to fix her teeth, but that's not what the show's about. I just had to tell you that story.
Okay, so let's focus. Let's focus.
Yeah, focus.
Okay.
Light media.
All right. So, I heard you talking about, represent us and who actually funds them. And I haven't actually really dug into that. I did hear somebody say something about Soros, but I don't know. It very much felt like a kind of canned corporate event. But before I get started, I want to just say something that Nina Turner said on stage at the big event on Saturday night, which was all very, as a performance. But, she says this a lot. She says, be tough on the issues and soft on people. And I think that's important, not like soft on the people that are cheating everybody and running everything, but the voters, the regular people that kind of, I don't know, I got the feeling like a lot of people there just don't even realize that the primary was rigged. I don't know. So I always think about that, like, I'm so harsh on those people, like, God, how can you even believe this? And how can you support Democrats? But I think we have to remember that, like, a lot of people just don't get it still. They don't believe. Like, I just got in a sort of a debate with someone on Twitter over the past couple of days after the summit. And I was saying, I talked to all these different election integrity people, and, most of them didn't even talk about the primary being rigged. And this lady just sends me back a Washington Post article saying it wasn't rigged and that I was brainwashed. So we all know how that goes. But I mean, I think so many people just still don't know, right? But okay, so let's see. I will start with, and if by all means, if anybody else knows more, and I guess I should, but I don't really know who funds represent us. Does anybody know the answer to that?
Represent us? I'll look
yeah,
it up.
because the whole thing was, what's his name? Josh Silber? No, a second. We'll look it up.
So who are some prominent figures that were there besides Nina Turner?
Nina Turner, well, Jennifer Lawrence. Jank was running around. I never did actually see him, but I heard he was seeming to dodge a couple of people. Some stuff I'm not going to sort of divulge because I don't want to speak for other people. I hung out with some members of the Movement for a People's Party. Their general feeling was also that it was pretty much a canned corporate Dem event, but let's see. Big name there. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of star power, honestly. There was a great an astronaut that spoke. That was actually a great speech. There was a guy that's been working on about restoring voting rights to people that have had felonies, been in prison. Let's see. So, but as far as like just star power, no, it was a lot of really small groups, honestly, doing a lot of really good work. And that's why I don't want to just bash it as what the event was. I think it's really easy if you're not there to kind of do that. I know a lot of people did that about the People's Summit and they just criticized it. But what you see at these things are all these smaller groups that are working on, fixing gerrymandering, for example, right? The problem is that I feel like it's just all underneath the Democratic Party umbrella, right? So it's all like the Republicans are doing this. Okay, here's a great example. Okay, this guy, someone mentioned them to me before because you know how I'm always talking, we talk about Election Justice USA.
Hey, To Kill a Mockingbird joined. All right, keep going.
Okay. You know how we talk about Election Justice USA, right? And that report that they put out, or I don't know, maybe I'm just the one babbling about it. But they're the ones that, to me, I think they really cataloged what actually happened during the primary. Like what happened in Brooklyn, which now has been, they've said, yeah, that was illegal to boot 200,000 people off. But anyway, this other group is called Election Integrity Caucus. And I picked up this paper, and so the morning before I went back to Tulane for more talks, I looked over it, and it's like, okay, here's the part. Any activity, stop voter stalking, any activity or policy whose aim is to deceive, intimidate, harass, or otherwise challenge legitimate voters in order to deny or suppress their votes. We can stop this. The Democratic National Committee has, for example, recently adopted a resolution and blah, blah, and they're challenged the attempted purge of 7 million voters in 30 states. And I'm like, do you not know about Brooklyn? So I saw this and I was really like, my blood was kind of boiling. I'm like, what the? And I happened to go to this little area where you can charge your phone and get coffee. And I sit down and I look, and it's the guy that's one of the head people with this group. And I see he's got, a tag on and a bag. So I sat down next to him and I just said, yeah, I told him what I was doing there. And I read your paper. And I really just want to know what you think about what's going on right now with Tim Canova, the lawsuit for them throwing out all those ballots in Broward County. Blank stare. Total blank stare. He didn't know what I was talking about. And so I kind of challenged him. I said, look, why is this only, if we don't address the Democratic primary rigging, we're getting nowhere. And do you not know about this Election Justice USA? And so when I got into talking about it, he kind of seemed like, oh, yeah, and I heard about that in Brooklyn. But to me, it's just, ugh. So that was one guy. I think I might have gotten him to look into it, I hope.
Wait, are you talking about you talked to Tim Canova?
Well, no, I will be soon. I've emailed with him, and I will be talking to him soon, interviewing. And interestingly, this is really exciting for me because this is like my pet thing right now. I've been able to message with Lulu Freestott that's helping Tim with this case. She look up the film Holler Back. But anyway, she's all into this, like helping him with this fight. She's done a lot of the analysis of what happened in that race. And there was like 1,000 more ballots than there were voters. All these statistical things that were like, don't happen, right? So anyway, so hang on. So I did talk to her and messaged her and told her I was going, that I was going to, and I told Tim Canova I would talk about his legal battle to anybody and everybody I could, which I did. I got mostly all blank stares. Yeah. Now these guys, this is cool. I'll hold this up. I don't know if you can see it. Now they're building some, Vote Matrix. Go to votematrix.com. Now he was interested. I said something, he starts coming up to me and talking about election integrity and election reform. So I said it again, and he was interested and said he would look into it and wanted to know more about it. The only group, and this was the last day, that knew, and then this guy kind of hush to me says, well, the Democrats don't really want to talk about that. And I was like, yeah, you think? But so auditelectionsusa.org. And this is a guy named John Brakey, I believe. So Lulu said, yes, these guys were good. But here's the most exciting part. So to me, I sat through this god-awful thing entitled From Russia with Facebook, because I had to go to that. And I sat there and listened. Actually, I live streamed it. It's boring. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend watching it, but I did live stream it to the Revolt Against Plutocracy page. But the only guy that said anything that made any sense was the lone libertarian. And he actually called the Washington Post fake news. And he got this giant groan from the audience, which, by the way, in this particular group, it was almost all older voters. Or older people. I did notice that. So that panel had FEC Commissioner Ellen Weintraub. And this was the person that I wanted to talk to the most, because I just wanted to see, could I even get up close enough to ask her a question? So I unfortunately didn't get a recording. I have a feeling she might not have talked to me if I had my phone out, But I just hovered around the stage, and I had a media tag, thanks to Nico from Insight News, though I barely got him any material. So I hovered around the stage, and I kind of waited until there weren't a lot of people around. And I asked her about Broward County. Again, total blank stare. And she said to me, that's not our jurisdiction. Okay. So I honestly didn't know how to respond back, because I don't know all this election law. I should have known what to say, right? But it sounded funny to me. I mean, you're the FEC commissioner. What the hell, right? So I immediately messaged Lulu and I said, I got to ask her this question. This was the response I got. And she said, that absolutely is illegal. Destruction of ballots is a federal violation. So I don't, I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, do I think they're all in cahoots to I don't know whether this woman really just has no idea, probably hadn't heard about it yet. I don't know. It's hard to say. She couldn't, there was a door behind her. She probably would have backed
You do
away.
know that you're talking to a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess what I mean by that is it's kind of hard when you're at a place like that. And that's why I'm saying it's easier to really, for anyone, me, myself included, to be really critical of it and say all that stuff when you're not right there. But when you're right there, you realize that so many of these people that are doing all this work, they're in it for the right reasons. They think they are, and I don't know where. Maybe it's just the really high up people that no, I don't know. But everyone, almost everyone was Russia. They made jokes about it, as if there's no even debating it, right? And also keep in mind, this whole weekend, every chance I got, I was trying desperately to find, Max Blumenthal, he's my favorite on the Russiagate stuff, to try to find a, reliable source to check. But the whole weekend, I'm trying to look and see what's breaking about this. I didn't hear any chatter about this, the memo. Nobody was talking about it anywhere. And it was just so surreal to me because I feel we're going to talk about unrigging the system, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to make jokes about Putin, right? So,
hey, Kelley,
yeah.
ask me about surfing in Hawaii. Just ask me about surfing in Hawaii real quick.
Okay. How was surfing in Hawaii?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Oh, right. Well,
they're all playing stupid, man.
With her, I guess if I had to say, I think she was kind of playing a little bit I don't know. But I'm just saying on the lower level.
She can't comment on it, probably.
Or maybe so.
She pleaded the fifth.
Something like that.
She pleaded the fifth. Yep.
Now, there was one, I think the best thing for the whole time, and I'll tell you more, but as far as the panel things that I sat in on, and I know nobody's going to do this, but I live streamed it to Revolt Against Plutocracy's Facebook page. It's 54 minutes long. It really is worth watching. But this woman, her name is Carla Miller, and she just had this panel on, or this talk on unrigging local politics. But she was awesome. And she just talked about just all the corruption, what she witnessed in the city government in, I think it was Tallahassee, Florida.
What's her name again, please?
Her name, go to cityethics.org.
Okay, how's that?
But Carla Miller, she was so awesome. And I sent her an email today because I just desperately wanted to ask her, well, what do you think about the corruption in the Democratic Party? But of course, some weird lady was hovering around talking forever after, so I didn't get a chance. But I did send her an email, so I'm hoping I get a response. But she had some really great points. She breaks it down into the different roles people play in corruption. There's the lapdog, the attack dog, the watchdog. She did it in kind of very simple terms, but it was really cool. And she also talked about this notion that, she's like, I went into this thinking, there are just good people and bad people. And so, someone comes into city government and there's all this corruption already, and they think they're going to be, Mr. Spock. And they get in there, and in fact, they become, what's his name? Homer Simpson. They eat the donuts, And so she goes into this whole thing about how so much of the corruption it's just institutionalized. So people come in with the right intentions, and it's really hard to not become corrupt. But anyway, she also referenced, if you go to that cityethics.org, it's just much more than about city government. She lists some TED Talks. Oh, thank you, James. She lists some TED Talks down here. Well, And I'm going to watch those two and another book. But man, I would not mess with that lady. She ended up being put as like ethics commissioner, ethics, whatever. And she started actually trying to clean house. And then the mayor said, well, but not that guy. And she was like, I'm sorry, you have the wrong person for this job then. So she really changed everything. And I didn't get a chance to ask her. She put someone away with the last name Scarborough. Now, I thought Joe Scarborough's family was in politics and they were from Florida. So I wondered if that was relation to him.
Possibly.
But so that was very good. That was a great talk. There's another thing that I got on video that was honestly incredibly boring and mostly bullshit. But this lady, wait, let me find her name. I'm wondering if anybody here, I haven't had time to dig up and find out what the story was. Does anybody remember something about, it would have been with the Wolf Pack with TYT, but a while ago, there was some big stink in Arizona. Like, it was a big deal. So this guy in the audience starts talking about it. And this lady just starts like going off and she's like, I got death threats and all this stuff. But there was some kind of big story around that. I'm going to see if I can figure out what that was exactly. But basically sounded to me like they were just kind of trying to do more Dem establishment crap. And they had people there that were, protesting. So let's see. I don't know. Did anybody want to ask questions? I'm kind of just anything you want to know, like as far as star power. Yeah, it was Nina Turner. Tulsi Gabbard was there, but I missed her. She was there on Sunday.
Okay.
Like,
I was going to ask who all was there that had a following.
Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard was there early Sunday morning. That was the only time that I think she was there or accessible, and I didn't get up early. Or no, I was up early and then I left. So Victor insisted on doing our little presentation at 9 a.m. on Sunday, and I told him nobody's going to come because everyone's up late at the entertainment Saturday night, which turned out to be true, and we had one person in the audience. But
do you know if Tambourine Borelli was there?
Yes, I believe that was the jazz band that played. Is that what you're talking about? No, this is it. I'm sorry. What?
No, her name is Tambourine Borelli.
Her name is actually
running for Congress. And
right. No, sorry. Yes,
that's okay.
I have heard that name. I'm sorry. It's the band. I have heard her name, but I don't remember. I'll have to look. All this lists everyone here. I do remember seeing that name. Oh, Trevor Potter. I saw him walk by. I mean, Nina Turner walked by me several times. I'm not the type to I kind of almost did with Trevor Potter. I wanted to jump and get a picture, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing that. Wait, where is she running?
In Washington State for Congress.
Okay.
And she is what the Represent Us, and the reason why that name tripped me up is that they used to just be Us. But I see now that they changed the name to Represent Us. So now it's like,
yeah.
I'm on. And then in chat, I did put the URL to their donor list.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got back 4:30 in the morning yesterday.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a guy named Mike Feinstein, no relation to Dianne Feinstein, running for Secretary of State with the Green Party here in California. Smart son of a bitch, been with very intelligent. He's a lawyer. He's been with Green Party for a long time. He's got the credentials. He's done other things. He was a mayor of some city at some point. I forgot. St. Louis Obispo? I don't know. Anyway, he brings up proportional representation. Did anybody bring up that term, proportional representation or ranked choice voting?
Oh, yeah. I heard plenty about ranked choice voting, but I don't know if you can see this. I mean, it was impossible, even if I stayed there all day for all of them, to see everything, you know. So, you know, I know I heard a lot about that. And let's see.
Well, that's good then. So there's a lot of
yeah, there's a lot of good work being done. I mean, I just have a problem with it being applied to where it sounds like, you know, it's only you know, we need to fight the Republicans. Yeah. And it's like, no, we have a lot more to do other than that.
I heard Brad Bowman was there.
You know, I never saw him. I saw his name on the stuff before, and I heard someone else mention that he had been in this one room, but I never saw him.
Oh.
So, but yeah, that was the guy. Wasn't he like spokesperson for Seth Rich's family at one point or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so yeah, so I know.
What is the complete name of the event?
Unrig the System.
Really?
Summit.
That was the event name?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But I just don't know how you unrig the system when we had breaking news about this, you know, FISA memo, and people are sitting on the stage making Putin jokes. It was just, to me, I almost kind of felt like I was in some mockumentary, you know.
In Spinal Tap, yeah.
Yeah, that's. I did talk to the Independent Voter Network, and that was pretty cool. It was sort of off the record. And then, yeah, there you go. And then I was going to do an interview about CFAR, but then Nick Brana was right behind me, and I think they wanted to get Nick instead, which is fine. So, but I mean,
there's no Bernie Sanders there?
No Bernie. No, it was a lot of, honestly, I would say a lot of these panel discussions were very kind of boring policy stuff, you know, but necessary, like fixing gerrymandering, you know, and that's important. I just found it really weird that.
What about like war, like anti-war sentiment or at all?
I didn't hear any of that. This was like, here's some of the titles, you know, criminal justice reform in Louisiana, you know your audience, a chat with pollsters, how to launch a local group or campaign, putting small donors in charge, nonviolent direct action training, which, never mind, I don't want to get into making fun of that. I'll save that for another time. They had part of what took so long for this talking with the Independent Voter Network, and I was going to do an interview, was they had this group that was doing, like, I guess, protest training. And I will call it something in between protest training and like creative movement dance. And by that I mean, I don't know. I was just kind of standing there going, they were like saying grunt and like sit down on the floor. And if the police tried to pull you, like, I don't know, they were just teaching people how to deal with that.
Teaching how to fucking not, did they teach them how not to sit on the freeway?
No. But I mean, I know, Amanda, I know you were at DAPL, and it's important. I mean, yeah, how to not get your arm blown off, right? But I just felt like, oh my God, this is not what we need to be talking about. Like, yeah, you can protest, but if the police just have, you know, pepper spray, where are we getting at the real corruption here? How do we fix this stuff? By like sitting in the street? I don't know. That was a little hard for me. Like, and I personally, and I argued with Victor about this, I personally did not feel like it was an independent minded convention.
It's like a prerequisite to a revolution. That's what it sounds like.
I don't know.
But I got a question for you real quick. For you. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
I want to know who this guy is right here. Who is this guy?
I don't know.
I know him, but he looks fucking awesome.
I don't know, James. Let me think. What else can I tell you?
That's the nuttiest picture I've ever seen.
Let me think what else I can tell you about. Well, I mean, there were certain things to me, again, I really felt like the entertainment thing that happened on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Like, they asked us to stand for the national anthem. And I'm like, I thought we weren't down with that.
Really?
You know, I actually said out loud, and Nick Brana and some other people right in front of me, I said, shouldn't we kneel? And I'm not being a smartass when I say that. Like,
no, that's, yeah.
You know, so I don't know. It you know, when you hear the term controlled opposition, that's kind of how I feel about the whole thing. And again, it's not to, you know, poo-poo anything all these people are working on, and it's important and it matters, you know. Because we know there's voter suppression that Republicans have done, right? All that stuff matters. But I don't see how we can do all of this under this umbrella like the Democrats are just great. Like, what the hell? It just doesn't make any sense. And I feel like I don't actually know what the number of people were that were there. I think it was like 1,500. But I mean, it becomes, these are activists. These are hardcore activists, right? People doing, you know, lawyers, you know, working on, wait, what was this one? I got to find the one that had that lady that spoke up about Wolfpack. But it doesn't represent regular people. It's not doing, I didn't see the summit as doing anything to really, you know, they kind of advertised it as bringing the right and the left together. I didn't feel that way at all. Like, you know, that, like I said, that libertarian guy that said the Washington Post was fake news, he just got kind of groaned at, and, you know,
so let me ask you this, just so I can get this straight in my head. The unrig the system, the represent us was what in relation to that?
They were hosting it. So they hosted it at Tulane University.
Oh, this explains tambourine then, because, you know, it's like I said in chat, you know, she has become a lot like, wow, really?
This guy, there's Ellen Weintraub. Yep, so I'm just proud of myself. I actually asked her that. That guy, go back to that for a second.
On the bottom left?
Yeah, Jenks, man, that's such a young picture of him.
This guy right here, the guy like two down from to the left of Ellen Weintraub, he is the one that spoke up and called Washington Post fake news. Wait, what is he? Wait.
Can you scroll down? Stop putting your mouth and scroll down, James.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry,
I got it.
I'll pull it up too.
No, I got it. Go ahead.
Oh.
Carter's gonna be jealous.
All right, I am kicking you out there.
Pick a different color.
Not right.
No, I got it.
Well, that just opened up.
Ellen Weintraub is where?
Well, go back to that. The row below Jank.
Jenks Lover, can you share your screen again, Jenks Lover?
Oh, Ellen Weintraub, Commissioner, Federal Election. Holy shit. You were talking with her?
I hovered around the stage because I was determined to ask her. I just wanted to know what she would say if I said something about the lawsuit in Broward County. Eric Wang, Senior Fellow, Institute for Free Speech. He spoke up, but yeah.
So here's a question. Who's got a question? Somebody else is talking. Sorry.
Yeah, she was uncomfortable. I will say that. I felt like she was uncomfortable with me asking that.
Good.
I see a congressman that was Republican there.
There are people from Fox News. The list is pretty huge.
Yeah, Hilton. Victor ended up talking to the guy, last name Hilton, that's on Fox News. You know what I'm talking? Steve Hilton? He ended up talking to him. But I mean, you have to realize there's so much going on in so many directions all at once. Like, it was hard to, like, Victor's talked to some people that I didn't talk to. I'm trying to think. I really kind of hung with the People's Party a lot too, because they were feeling the same way I was about it. But
well, I got a question, Kelley, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any talk at all about Citizens United and getting the money in politics?
Very much so.
Yeah, because they were on the donor list, donating big time.
Do what? The donor list?
They were on the people who donated to the event.
Mm-hmm.
They were. Let me look at it now.
Oh, and ending Citizens United. What's the group?
Hold on.
Yeah, there was. I would say that was a huge theme, and getting money out of politics was a very big theme. It just, I felt like the irony there was just,
that you had the people who are really, profiting from having money in politics. They're talking about getting that money out.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it. I mean, that's what it seemed like. But
this just explains Tambourine Borelli for me. Her change. When she first started running, she was so independent, so non-democratic. And then when I saw her 3 weeks ago, and then I saw her on Tim Black's show, and she sounded just like a Democrat, a corporate Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Well, just like when we were talking. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just my heart's sake.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's how everyone felt about Ro Khanna. Am I right? Like, he sounded like Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Pretty much. And he's now a CFAR candidate. Victor pushed on that one. I was like, should have left that one alone, but okay. So he wants me to interview him.
Ro Khanna?
Yes. He signed CFAR because Victor went after him, bugging him about it. And I'm like, I think it would have been better to have his opponent sign CFAR. I mean, but we'll see. But yeah, he wants me to interview him, which I'll do. I'm excited about talking to Tim Canova. That'll be really cool. But my focus, so election integrity is now number 2 on the CFAR contract. That is my doing, because it's now Citizens United is first, and election integrity, opening up elections to public audit. I forget exactly how it's worded, but that's number 2. So anytime I'm interviewing a candidate, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Like, what? Why are you laughing? What am I missing?
My new title is Jenks Lover.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm not laughing.
Can you leave that there, please?
Why did you change your name?
No, yes. I just got to come out, you guys.
You should spell it right.
I know, right? We have a little thing. We don't like to spell each other's names properly.
So was there anything good out of the Unrig Summit?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said, there are really a lot of good people trying to do stuff. I mean, like this vote matrix thing. I mean, they'll if they actually follow through on all this stuff, they're going to catch, rigging on the Democratic side too. And so I think it's definitely good. More people are paying attention. And the theme very much was getting money out of politics. I just feel like a lot of these people don't see the irony in being under the Democratic tent. And that's what bothered me. Like, I would just really love to see an actual, independent summit. It just didn't feel that way to me. It felt Ro Khanna-ish, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that could ever happen, really?
Well,
Or
I
within
think
the
it
next, I
could.
can't say ever. I got to quit using big.
Yeah. I mean, look, I felt this way a lot. Part of the time, I just wanted to stand up and like yell out. I'd have been escorted out. You guys do all remember that Trump won, right? Like, you all remember that Republicans swept the entire country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't think we're getting rid of the Electoral College by 2020. So you can do all this work in your little, bubble echo chamber, and that's great. You'll make some incremental change and all this, good, change the gerrymandering. But if they're not actually reaching out to the real independents, I don't know. I don't see.
So
if it was ranked voting, everything would be different.
What?
If there was ranked choice voting, everything would be different. And I feel like it would really help the liberals, because then everybody who would vote like some third party or independent thing would probably write Democrats in a second. I guess it's obvious, but I just don't see what's wrong with it. It would also help reinforce their rhetoric and help the party.
I know what you mean. That's why I kind of have mixed feelings about ranked choice voting. Like,
so, Kelley, the Fly is asking, was there discussion of third parties, or was this entirely about reforming the Democrats?
No one talked about reforming the Democrats per se. They were just talking about all this work that needs to be done within, if that makes sense. But I didn't hear, other than Nick Brana, talking about third party. And then, oh wait, I take that back there. I did hear, because Daniel, who's on the steering committee with Movement for People's Party, said there was a millennial roundtable discussion where that was a big topic. But other than like other panels, I didn't hear any of that. Doesn't mean there wasn't, but I didn't hear it. And I did, Victor and I, we went and we all went to different things, and I didn't hear any of that. Only the younger crowd, was very for third party, but that just wasn't part of the focus. I mean, we've got the business in perspective, why U.S. politics is failing America. I mean, if you just look through here and see and look at the background of all these speakers, they're Democrats. They're all Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
So
no Green Party people. Which I think is it's not at the fault of these people. It's at the fault of the Green Party. The Green Party should definitely have injected themselves, wedged themselves, at least made a big attempt to get themselves involved in this. And I didn't know about this, sadly. I think you mentioned it or something at some point. I can't retain everything, but it's sad that some type of representative didn't show up here.
I have another point, like a question or something. Or my big issue is I want to know how you can, not with getting the money out of politics and things like that, and vote election integrity. How do you weaken the power of, like, let's say, like extraction industry lobbying and things? Like, how do you weaken? How do you like just generally since they've like increased their power so much and like lobbying pull and reach so far, like how do you get that, like reel that back in a little bit so that our votes have more power and the politicians work like less time trying to go get donations because there's caps on that, and because it's mostly the voters that decide anyway if they're going to be around any longer. And maybe if it wasn't all about money, that when they were going to be around for the next term or when they're going to be around longer being about money, if it was more about like trying to get something done, do something positive, then those would be the kind of people in there that wanted to continue to do things positive, not continue to make money. And I think it's a whole culture, a whole system. And like there's something superficial about just changing some voting, some campaign, finance, whatever. It's like it's deep. It's like not just, it's like year round or every year. I think that they're taking this money and being overly influenced by whatever you know.
So was there a lot of mention of Russia and how we're going to stop Russia from meddling in our
Whack, whack.
Oh my God. Yes. I mean, foreign influence in U.S. elections. Yeah, I mean, it was everywhere. I heard that a lot.
Fuck.
So what do you think the disconnect was? I mean, are these just people that are reading just, establishment, media, or are they in a bubble?
TYT. I mean,
They're all TYT.
when you have your star, person, I mean, Cenk Uygur, who, I mean, we all know what happened after Bernie was cheated. TYT completely just pivoted to all stupid Trump stories all the time, stopped covering progressive news or, green, anything to do with the Green Party or anything, and just went all in for Hillary, right? So I think that most of the people that attended this, they just sort of accept that, and to them, the Republicans are the enemy. And I'd say they're MSNBC or TYT viewers probably, except maybe a little bit of dissent in that millennial roundtable that I wasn't present for but heard about. So
Fly is asking if there was a discussion on superdelegates.
I'm trying to remember. I know I heard something about that, but I don't know. I couldn't really speak on it. There might be more if you're really interested in, I don't know if you want to sit through any of those, but Victor and I both live streamed different ones that we went to. So it's on the Facebook page. But again, that one that's really worth watching is that Carla lady about, it's just basically, to me, her talk was like anti-corruption talk. And I found it fascinating. It was like the psychology of corruption. It was really cool. But no, about super delegates, no, I don't think I don't remember anything specific about that. Let me see. I do really want to find out what that thing was about Wolfpack in Arizona, though. So if anybody that's listening just knows the story, let us know. I'm going to dig in and try to find it. But this lady was like, oh my God, she went off. She was like, I'm so glad you asked that question. And I've got it on the Facebook page. She's like, it's been a year and I haven't been able to talk about it. And she just kind of went off. So
I'll bet Holly Seeliger knows. If you ask Holly, she's okay. Pretty
green infrastructure. Since we're asking about that, was there any?
Her name was Vicky.
Infrastructure discussion. That's something that, I mean, I feel like is really important. Green, like infrastructure, but green. Like, maybe that's a Green Party thing, Green New Deal. But I don't think the Green Party's the only people that can push for something like that.
No, but there wasn't really talk of that. I mean, this was very heavy, about policy around, around voting and moneyed influence. Again,
well, it's absurd that they wouldn't talk about superdelegates then.
Yeah, really. You know what? There may have been something though. I wasn't in one that did, so I can't really speak on that.
What was the biggest crowd pleaser, crowd getter? Was there a certain speaker, or was there a certain topic where?
Well, of course, Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence, and that Russia with Facebook, that was packed. I had to stand on the side. But also there was someone who spoke about Dakota Access Pipeline. Hang on. Tara Huska, maybe? Oh, and Lawrence Lessig was there. So that was all nice. Big.
That's good.
Yeah. Let's see. So and all of those really big ones with the big names were pretty packed. And I think, some of the last election one that I went to, the guys that are the audit, the ones that are doing real stuff, auditelectionsusa.org, that was pretty packed. So, yeah, that's good. But overall, it was as I expected. I guess not as bad as I expected. because I think all this stuff is important that it's done. I think the lady's name is Vicky Harrison. I'm sure if we look up Vicky Harrison and Wolfpack, we'll find it. But she was like,
James, loud keyboard.
She said she got death threats and all kinds of stuff.
Fly is asking a lot of questions. That's good, though.
I'll answer if I can, but
yep.
I wasn't everywhere, so.
He's asking, was there discussion on the reauthorization of FISA and expanding it under Trump? FISA.
I didn't hear anything about that. That was what was so weird. Like I said, all this stuff was in the news, and I didn't even chatter in the hall. Like, I didn't hear anybody talking about this. Like, to me, that's a big deal. No, I didn't hear that. I mean, I'm sure that this schedule is probably still up. I mean, if you really want to look and see, like, but again, it's a lot of it was just really dry stuff, you know. Citizens draw the lines. Yeah, putting small donors in charge. But yeah, nothing big picture, if that makes sense, you know. I felt like it was all like, how do we do all this with under the Democratic Party umbrella to beat Trump? Like that's what it felt like to me.
It was like
you felt like it was very pragmatic.
Yeah.
That's
and like I said,
nothing that would rock the boat too much.
Well, yeah, and again, I don't want to insult anybody. The guy was nice, but this guy, the Election Integrity Caucus, the look he gave me was like, I mean, he was from Berkeley, you know, typical hippie guy from Berkeley with his ponytail and all. Very nice guy, good intentions, and I'm just like, why are you not talking about Democratic Party rigging? And he was just Trump, you know. I mean, I don't know.
Was there any mention of WikiLeaks or Julian Assange? No?
I didn't hear anything like that. Only amongst the people I was talking to, like, you know, privately, so.
What about Nina Turner? Did you speak on her some? Or how do you feel like about her?
How I feel about Nina Turner, I think I love that she did this. Okay, so we can all talk about, there are all these different kind of slices of whether you're sort of controlled opposition, I think is the big word now, but you know, there are people that have just said, Dem exit, forget it, there's no way, right? And then there are people like, I have the utmost respect for Tim Canova. He's fighting what happened there. And I feel like Nina Turner is doing the same thing, but like he's still running as a Democrat. I don't know if she is still thinking that she can reform the Democratic Party, or she just feels like I need to still have one foot in this, you know, to bring change. But she does not hold back either, because one of the best things she said, well, she made the comment about go soft on people and hard on issues. But was a direct dig at Hillary. She said, you know, going around and calling people basement dwellers and deplorables, not the way to go. I mean, that was a direct dig at Hillary. We all know that, right? So she, I would never call her, you know, a sellout but I just don't know if her motive is really hoping that the Democrats will finally like have no choice but to change, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She could also be. Go ahead.
Good.
Oh, I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think the Democrats, all they'd have to do is take away superdelegates and give us some good candidates to choose from, let them speak their minds, and then start acting like they're sincere a little bit, like they want to get something done. So, like, you know, do something like that means something. Like, Trump gave away his salary, so not because Trump did it, but because they want to make a point. Money means a lot. What if they gave away whatever tax cut Trump's tax cut gave them? Like, what if they gave that to charity? Like, what if they went and did something like a collective act, like across the Democrats? Anybody who's wealthy is giving all this money to charity with a difference in the, you know, like opposing it for real, like straight, like from home, like, you know what I mean? So
that's like small cakes, though, Ben.
No, I'm just saying, like little things like that, acting like they really want to do something and give us good candidates in 2020. That's it. Like, but when there's no hope of them being real or being honest or not just trying to strong arm us and say, well, there's nowhere else for you to go. It's Trump versus us. You have to choose us. Otherwise, you're bad. Like you're a terrible, abominable person again. I think that's gonna be that's how they got the people whipped up to be. That's how they got them ready to be. So like, I don't see why you would go on with the elaborate narrative and sort of like get people all how do I say, like need people all into place. Like, I don't know, hammer or chisel them all into place like that. I don't know how to say it. Trying to like beat people into place, like beat people into the thinking of like, okay, you got to like exclude anybody who doesn't just hate Trump with this fire and like right off the bat, it's just you're with us or against us. It seems like that's how it's going to go down. So, but they're not going to get rid of superdelegates, and we're not probably going to have good chances. Like the last time I was at anybody but Hillary person from a long time before the July WikiLeaks ever happened. I was just like anybody. I was just thinking like who I want 2016. Anybody but Hillary. I was thinking that years before 2016, and of course how it all played out. Of course, there we have Hillary, and then it looks like it's all like pre designed that way, or it looks like it's all kind of rigged. So that was just an awful kind of idea, like kind of.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ebon.
I think I lost my train of thought.
I was just going to say, one of the things that I think it was Josh Silver, pulled up this big chart at the thing on Saturday night, and with the pie chart with, whatever, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's like 23% Democrat, 20, it's all very close, but like independents are huge. And I'm looking at this and going, do you guys not get this? That like, how do you expect to win when so much you've lost? You've lost, that all of that really matters to people. Like that you can't just go back and be like, oh, come back to us now. It's all just fine. No, I mean, there are a lot of people.
Which is why the elaborate story, I mean, unless they're going to keep running with it, they're going to keep running with it. So what I was trying to say was that I don't see them not doing the same thing in 2020 where it's destined to be this one person. We all know who it's going to be. Nobody challenges them. It's the same old rigmarole. Like, that's frustrating, and that's why I'm not going to be with on board with any Democrat or Democratic crap,
They're still just counting on the same thing.
Delegates, and it's going to be like the candidate they want, and there's not going to be a good candidate probably to choose from, or they'll be cheated, and it's like they'll be super delegated.
Right. As it stands, there is still. I mean, they're going to try to keep real progressives down. Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
I actually wish they do this again in 2020. If Bernie runs again as a Democrat, Hillary runs again as a Democrat, they still have super delegates. They still have debates where it's only the head Democrat against the head Republican. And that they do that. What's going to be different in 2020 though. They're not going to give Trump free airtime.
Right. Yeah.
But the thing is, who are they going to give airtime to? Because Hillary Clinton is not very good with a lot of airtime.
No, the more she's seen, the less people like her.
Exactly. So what's their strategy?
It's not even going to be as much airtime as Facebook time and things like that, web time.
Yeah. Well, so who would be? Are they going to have like a VP they're going to give a lot of airtime to?
Well, they're trying to push Kamala Harris really bad, and that was something too. If you interview Ro Khanna, he said that he thinks that she's good on criminal justice reform. Ro Khanna said something like that about her. So that would be a question to ask him, to press him on. Well, what about not prosecuting Steve Mnuchin after she took money for her campaign?
Do you guys know what a test pilot is sitcoms?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they've done it several times, and I know they're doing it because I've been involved in those things. I live near Hollywood. Mm-hmm. I've been to test pilots. I've talked to producers. So what they do is they throw something out, and if the audience and if likes it and they get a big response, then they keep it. Mm-hmm. If they don't like what's happening in the response, they pull it back. I think they're doing that with Kamala Harris. They've already thrown her out there a few times. She's not getting it. Perez, they threw him out, and he fucking got his head chopped off right off by Bernie too. You know, and then there was a few others. Ellison.
Keith Ellison. They
threw him out too. So they're going to keep throwing people out. They threw fucking Oprah out there. I mean, they actually threw Oprah out to see what the response was. And people are like, no, because she at one point said white supremacist people should be killed or something. I don't know. It's just something like from her own mouth. Mm-hmm. So you've got all this, but what I wanted to say earlier real quick, which I thought it was really interesting, is now that I'm deeper into the, I'm not like embedded into the Green Party, but I am getting more familiar with the processes, the people, the thinking, the ambiance, everything. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of alarming, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. But what I've just noticed is I missed this summit. Had I not been so absorbed in the farawayness of the out of touch, in a sense, Green Party, I probably would have been more in touch with those kind of things. And that's something I wanted to bring up is that point. I don't think anybody from the Green Party really knew about this. I'm surprised they didn't try.
I don't think they would have. I don't know that any of them would have really wanted to
no,
participate.
But yeah, but I'm saying
what I've been telling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I've been telling them, and they really need to get themselves in between the camera, the recorder, the newspaper writer, the blogger, in between that and what's happening with all these other parties, and they haven't gotten that yet. Hopefully they're trying.
Like if you took a class in like college or high school or something, or like I guess you have like a runner-up choice class or something. Like if you don't do that, you want this other class. Or I feel like that's somewhere like I think ranked choice voting is like better because at least it seems like it would work for everybody. I already made the point, but yeah, I would like to rather have a second choice than like the last choice. So
I want to see an actual independent summit. I want to see an actual
me too.
Summit that represents
everybody.
Yeah. And I actually talked to some of the people in People's Party about that. Like, where could we do that? Because there's nothing wrong with reaching out to the Democratic Socialists and all this stuff, but
here we can do one here.
Yeah.
We can do one over here in New York City.
No, we could do it on this platform.
Oh, platform. Kelley, sorry.
So I think that is desperately needed. And I just, I'm a broken record on this. I just keep saying, like, what about those? I know it's only 12%, but I think it matters. What about those 12% of Bernie Sanders supporters that voted for Trump? Those people, there are going to be people that they voted for Trump because it was a big fuck you to Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Yeah. And if they're paying attention, they're going to see that Trump isn't delivering on everything. Now, I think it's unfair to say, like, he hasn't done any of the things. I don't know, some like factory jobs and stuff.
Got a wall.
I think he has. But I'm saying those people are going to be disillusioned with him. But what are they going to do? Vote for Kamala Harris? No. So those people are going to be like looking for a real independent, either third party or, I don't know, having third party actually up and running. I'm concerned about that happening.
Stork, did you want to say something, brother?
Yeah, the caucus this week was really dismal in Iowa. Just a lot of the precincts, nobody even showed up.
Probably because of the weather.
Weather might have been part of it, but Iowans do go to the caucus.
And see, that's the thing that I think is just so sad that, I hope we can get it back, but all those people that worked tirelessly for Bernie, all those people that donated that couldn't, all those delegates that traveled across the country that could barely afford it. And I think the Democratic Party succeeded in killing hope in a lot of ways, and that just sucks. It really sucks. So I don't know. I don't think the answer is just more of the same. I think people are burned and they're like, nope, not having it. Right?
Yeah.
I know I am.
What I would love, I'm not sure if you saw it, Kelley, but like on the women's marches, people would go and ask the people who are marching, what they don't like about Trump. And they can
saw you interview, or you had a guest on that was talking about that, right?
No, we were just talking about it, and I just showed a snippet. But also James was live streaming one of the women's marches, and he was saying, "And Citizens United," and then like people didn't really know what Citizens United was. But
it was overturn Citizens United, and I said it because I think everybody. I don't know. I'm pretty loud. I'm pretty big, and if you can't hear me, you're deaf. So when I was saying it forever, exactly. What? So what happened is every time I said it out at a group about 20 or 30 people, because they were coming into this corner that could probably hear me, that were paying attention, only like one or two out of each time I said it would go, hey, or understood what the hell I was talking about. Most of them didn't have a clue.
So what were most people there? Were they for the women's march? Wasn't it just kind of, I've always gotten the feeling a lot of it's just anti-Trump. They're just
It is. There was, if you look on my page, YouTube, a lot of the signs were just beating up Trump, just some of them were smart, some of them knew what they were talking about. Inequality, there was some good posters on that and some signs and banners, but most of it was definitely just going after Trump, and it just seemed useless and pointless that they were even. I mean, what are you going to do? Just keep complaining about somebody and they're going to go away?
Right. Here, I'll share a picture. I think this might work. Wait, no. Can I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you see it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Daniel, the guy that he's on the steering committee.
Oh, there's Nick.
For People's Party, and he rode down with me to New Orleans, so that was cool because he is definitely, let me stop share. He is definitely on the same page as I am about the Russia stuff, bullshit, and actually all of them are. So, we're in agreement, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see.
So what I was going to bring up is something I brought up in the past is we should not, for the ballots, we should not even show the candidates' names. We should just go by the issues and what you support. And basically all it does is tally up points. So if you are for all these things, and then it adds up who is that candidate that you're voting for, because based on that, you get a readout at the end saying, when you get your receipt, you say, okay, these are the issues you picked. You basically voted for Bernie Sanders. Or these are the issues you picked. You pretty much voted for Donald Trump. So it's not based on the name. The name's hidden. But if you're following the issues and you're voting based on the issues, what you vote for ends up being who you pick as
that's how I voted for Nader. My very first vote was not till I was 29, and I found something online. This was the year 2000, and it was like, I really didn't know. I really wasn't that political at that point, and it came up with Ralph Nader, so I was like, okay.
All right, go ahead, Christian.
I was going to say that's a great idea, Ebon, but here's the question I have. How do we avoid candidates just placing anything that sounds good on there? I mean,
they have to have
being really representative of that, you know, because like I could say, well, like let's say Hillary could say, "Oh, I'm for a $15 minimum wage," or this or that, or you know,
she has
that's a big ballot.
It has to be a permanent position.
But that's a big ballot of information
up to the ballot. Yes, it is, but it can be just
simplified, like in numberized, like some kind of nomenclature.
It reminds me of like referendums, like voting for the issue, and I want to say, like, I think Vermont was the first state that just like, or one of the first states or something that just like voted in legalization of marijuana, or I don't know if it's legalization or medical, but they just did it through the Congress and through a bill. And like most of the time it's been done through, so far it's been done like in most of the states by referendums, voter referendums. And, you know, I think it's smart for people in Vermont to do it by the Congress, because isn't that like knowing what the voters want and knowing what public opinion is? Isn't that like getting points with them? Like if they do it, if the voters do it themselves, then it's like the politicians don't get like any glory for that, right? So I don't know. It'd be cool if they cared what the voters wanted more and were more active with that.
Oh, this isn't this.
It's like it's like dangerously close to a direct democracy, which would, you know, kind of make these politicians irrelevant. Like if we could just vote on the issues, like why do we need them for? You know what I mean? Like I mean, they're the middleman.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, and when you think about it, it's like, you know, we're smart enough to vote for these people, but we're not smart enough to make decisions when it comes to, you know, what they're making decisions on.
Wrong video, sorry.
It doesn't make any sense.
You know what I just realized, though? I was looking for something else. Speaking of, which is important, I'm going to share it in a minute, about what you're talking about, voting on just the issues. But I just noticed I had tweeted out the picture of at the table that I just showed you, and we said, I said, to unrig the system, first we have to unrig the Democrats, and represent us liked the tweet. I was like, I just noticed that. Like, really? I didn't hear anything about that when I was there. But yeah, somebody there did.
Oh my God.
That's so strange. But anyway, let me find this other. Somebody just, hang on. There's a guy that's building. This is so cool. I'm kind of hoping we might be able to incorporate this into CFAR candidates, or really any candidate. Anyway, I'll find it. Keep talking. It's basically that, like, you can keep track of when you vote for someone, then it's an app, like you keep track of what they actually do and when they're elected. It was the coolest thing. I got to find this guy who came up with this. But yeah, represent us liked that I said that. Okay. Well, you weren't talking about unrigging the Democrats while I was there. I don't know.
No.
Let me show you the Women's March real quick. Can you see your screen, Kelley?
Yeah.
You're going to see, I was, like, here's the corner. I was where they bottlenecked them to come out of the corner and do their 1.5 mile or mile walk. So I was in like the perfect place to, you know, I always put position. It's all about position.
Women? No, I'm just kidding.
No, well, I got a few phone numbers. Here, let's watch this. Got a big black book. Okay, so here. You're gonna notice this when you hear them. Shit. Just listen.
God damn.
Is that an old guy with the pussy hat on?
Who's drink? Our drink.
Overturn Citizens United.
No war. Sanctuary for all. No bad, no war. Sanctuary.
You wouldn't be here. You just did. Overturn Citizens United. So just listen in. No more borders. No more borders, man. Overturn Citizens United. Overturn Citizens United. Money out of politics. You wouldn't be here. You just did that. But you know.
James talking shit.
Look it up.
Hello.
United. Overturn it. That's right.
Listen, you have to be here.
I'll be at the beach if we overturn Citizens United. Telling you right now. Did you hear that? We'd all be.
Oh my God, they are programmed robots.
Oh, it's so funny. Those are so stupid. They're just fucking stupid.
Well, you would have gotten a response from people at Unrig the System. They were talking about that. I just don't know that they put two and two together. That, you know, if you talk to any of them about, well, what about the Clinton Foundation and, you know, money and government, how that they would, you know.
I think we just need to set them right in saying that they're stupid, because at first when you don't research, when you don't know anything, you can't, and you know they're just gonna dig in their heels. You have to say, hey, if you want to protest against Donald Trump, here are some things you should protest about, and you give them valid things, and then you say, just so you know, these are the same positions that President Obama had. So if you supported President Obama and you're against what Donald Trump's doing, he's basically supporting the same policies as Obama.
They don't want to hear that.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that. But you have to kind of say, yeah, I'm with you. I'm against Trump. And here's his positions that you should actually say, because if you ask them, and so people who are on YouTube, whatever, they are actually out on these women marches asking them, hey, so what policy of President Trump do you disagree with? And they're like, they can't come up with one. And I think the best thing to do is tell them some policies that they should be against Trump with. And then it's like what George Collins said, that what he does is cross that boundary, what makes people uncomfortable, and bring them back over it. I'm not sure if I got that right, but basically, if you look at George Collins, who says that, you know, he wants to make it comfortable enough, so he crossed that line and deliberately cross it, and then they're kind of on board. They're like, okay, keep going, right? So you kind of have to do the same thing with people, because they see the mainstream media, but when they look at the details, they're like, oh, holy crap, yeah, Obama supported that. Oh, Hillary Clinton was going to support that. Oh, Donald Trump is supporting it. So you kind of have to like hold their hand and say, hey, look, I support you. We're against it too. But guess what? Everyone who was a candidate that was going to get elected was supporting it anyways. So
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these people, it's not like they're bad people or nothing. It's just that, you know, it's like just connecting the dots. Just a matter of connecting the dots.
Yeah. It just, I don't mean to talk like I do, but I'm actually kicking my own ass because I look so fucking stupid. I was one of them
before.
Me too.
Oh
I was worse. I was a Republican.
I don't know.
That's
not worse.
Oh, baby.
Well, we have to be able.
I don't know if that's worse, though. I don't know if that's worse.
No, you know what? I have to say, I am really, well, it's a curse and an asset, I guess. I've realized that, you know, I mean, while I've never voted Republican, you guys all know, like, I come from, you know, at least my grandfather, who I loved and respected dearly, you know, he was Republican. I have, you know, I speak Republican. I know how to, I'm able to see that side. it's kind of a curse, but it's also an asset, because without it, I mean, I'm so glad I'm not one of these people that, like, they seem like they don't even know anybody that isn't a Democrat. Like, they've never interacted with it. It's like the bubble in their own personal lives is so intense that they don't even know how to talk to a Republican. They don't know any. You know. So I think it's an asset.
Steve Grumbine's that. That's why Steve Grumbine is actually a good connector.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And
yes,
a lot of people don't want that. They don't think they're going to change. But when it comes down to common core things like better wages, infrastructure, healthcare, you know, they're fucking, most of them are on board, you know.
I actually got to talk with him about that in one of our meetings. Well, actually, our first meeting, because Revolt Against Plutocracy is, I guess it's final. I'm not really sure yet, but it's going to sort of align with them or work with them. So yeah, that was one of our first conversations, and I knew that he, you know, had that perspective. He's former Republican. But yeah, if you don't know how to reach out to people or really truly reach out to people on the other side, you're going to get nowhere. So.
And I don't want to say, and I've said this before, I don't like calling them dumb. Eben's only saying this because they choose not to search a little harder, reach out a little further, go a little, just maybe check, because they're so sheltered underneath their MSNBC umbrella, their CNN umbrella, their Fox News umbrella. You know, they're, I'm getting all I need. I don't need to fucking hear anything else. But that's
like this woman I was just recently debating with, and who knows if she'll go look anything up, but she instantly started calling me a Russian bot. And I'm like, no, and I kept pushing back on that. And, you know, then I sent her the Election Justice USA report like I usually do. And, you know, just kept going back and you know, shooting down everything she was saying. She said it wasn't rigged, and she called me brainwashed and sent a Washington Post article. But I just, you know, finally ended up saying, don't listen to me. Go do your own research. And I sent her a couple of more articles, but who knows if she'll listen. But I realized that she, you know, initially she just had written me off as a Russian bot, and she realized I wasn't, and it kind of got her attention, and she wanted to talk. So who knows? I mean, whether she'll just write it off as nothing or actually go look and see, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you can stick to the issues, I think is important, because if you ask them specifically, what are Trump's issues that he either voted for, or that approved Congress, whatever, that, you know, that passed bills for, and what executive orders that he passed do you disagree with? And if they can't think of one, then they kind of know how much they don't know. And then you could say, here's 2 or 3. Do you agree with these, that it's bad? And they go, yeah. And you go, do you know that President Obama had those same policies? And they're gonna be like, no. And then you go, well, look up the issues. Here are the bills that President Obama had. These are the executive orders that President Obama passed. And then they might slowly open up, realize how much they don't know and how much you know.
Yeah, and if you kind of try to point people it's really hard to not just be like, you know, like, oh my God, you know, and go on an attack. But if you just kind of point them in a direction, like, here, you know, here's some evidence, they don't want to be, I'm sure they don't want to be uninformed. They think they're informed, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of find a way to be nice about it. It's hard sometimes to do that. But I found this thing, and I guess I've got a little bit excited going to this conference about wonky stuff here. But let me show. It's called digitdemos.com. Actually, yeah, I'll share the screen for just a second if that's okay. It's really cool though. If you watch the little video here, is this working?
Mm-hmm.
There's a little video here. I'm not going to play it now, but you guys can watch it. But how it works, there's a little app, and you kind of what you were saying, you like line up your issues with the candidate, but then you like can follow what they actually do. So I thought that was really cool. It was just this random guy that responded to one of my tweets, and I happened to just look and see who he was. And I guess he was there. I didn't meet him in person, but that's his thing. Digit demos.
Yeah, I think would be great as an app, and I want to, it can be easy to do.
I think he is doing an app. I don't know. Look at the website.
Is one of those things. You know how you kind of answer questions, and you kind of like, who would you be in Lord of the Rings type of thing?
Oh yeah.
Who would you be? Whatever. So basically, this app would be, who are you actually wanting to vote for based on the issues themselves? And so all you do is you select the answer for the issues, and then at the end goes, you are a Trump supporter, or you are a Bernie Sanders supporter, right? And they'll be like, what? And then they could see the answers as saying why you're picking that person based on the issues alone. So it gets rid of this idea that you're voting for someone because you think they're for those issues, but they're not.
I did that before the 2016 election. I went on a website that had the same type of questions and matched you up. And I went, and they said I was with more aligned with frickin', what was his name? Something Johnson.
Gary Johnson.
I went, what the fuck?
Was it just the weed? Was that it?
It was the high altitudes. He talked about climbing mountains and.
I did something wrong in that test because there's no way.
Well, anyway,
let's see.
I was just going to say that another good idea for an app would be, like if you have like issues, kind of like do the questionnaire of, what you're for and what you're against, and then whenever they vote on these bills, you can get a notification about, who voted for what.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Look at digitdemos.com. I think it might do that. I'm not certain, but check that out. I put it in the chat.
Yeah, like basically what they said in a campaign and what they finally ended up doing at the end. And just a simple app is you get to see the bill, the date, and then what they said during their campaign, the date, and then that's all. That's it. You just go by the list. There's like say 87 issues. All 87 issues are on that app for that candidate. So it kind of gives them some what's that word? Accountability.
Right. Accountability.
What's that word?
Yeah. Well, that's what we're kind of trying to do because, like with the CFAR contract, because really it's as a contract, it's not going to be like legally binding, like no judge. It's not, it's morally binding. Right. And it's the whole point for it to be effective is really much like the Tea Party did in getting candidates elected. It's that if these people dared go, to DC and not do what they said they were going to do, they get voted out, right? So it's paying attention and just cataloging, what their votes were on stuff. So it might be something we could use, or I don't know, the activists could keep up with it or something. But
yeah, and we don't have that. I see some like mainstream media outlets doing things like that. Like I can't remember, but they also have it wrong.
Well, do you remember that thing with Bernie when he like voted? It was like the Iran sanctions and the Russia sanctions were in the same bill, and it was like it took a couple of days to figure it out because you had to go digging through it
was on the first debate between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders is like, no, if you read this bill, you'll see, and he's trying to explain it, but Hillary Clinton just pretty much put a lie out there, and people aren't going to go research it, and it puts
no, actually,
Bernie on the defensive.
The one I'm thinking of is actually something later, but it's okay. Same concept.
But yeah,
but it was where the bill said, like he voted against the whole bill, but it was because he didn't. What was it? They were saying he voted against sanctions on Russia, and of course the mainstream Dems like attacked Bernie on that. But when you got down to it, what it was that he was for the sanctions on Russia, but not on Iran, and it was wrapped up in the same bill. Mm-hmm. So there are always all those things like that, like how are regular people are not going to sit there and dig through pages and pages of that when a bill has like how many different issues all wrapped into one.
Yeah, they need to stop consolidating bills together.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I think it's so dumb that they can get away with that.
Yeah, because they'll say, "Oh, I voted for, I agreed with the Republicans on this budget bill because," and they'll list like one or two things that they got from it. But then, we have so much money going to the military now, and all this other crap.
Yeah.
So.
Just all crap.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I'd been able to attend more of these. But I think you get the idea. The overall flavor was definitely get money out of politics, no doubt about that. But it was just the overarching feel of it was very Democratic Party.
Well, thanks, Kelley, for giving us all this info.
It seemed corporatized. Is that what you're saying? It seemed like
absolutely. Absolutely.
It didn't seem grassroots.
Oh, well, okay. Let me put it this way. The overall overarching thing with the panels that had Jennifer Lawrence and the big names and all that, that was very kind of canned corporate performance stuff, right? I can't say that, obviously all these, there's a huge list, the number of people that were there in these little groups doing real work, and that is definitely grassroots.
Yeah.
But I would still say, though, it's 95% of them, it looks like they're all Democrats, though. And when they talk about fixing all these things, it just doesn't seem like it's all underneath that umbrella of, I don't know.
Was it like all about the Electoral College?
I heard a lot of talk about that, that we need to get rid of that. But guess what? That's not happening.
Saying, was it talking about the election was rigged against Hillary?
I didn't really hear a lot of that. I just heard. Not specific.
Trump's an asshole. You heard a lot of that, right?
I heard. Well, like I told you,
they were all feeling it. They were definitely all feeling it.
Yeah, I don't really feel that's kind of also why I don't feel like it was really very bipartisan. And Victor disagreed with me on that, but I didn't feel like it was because I didn't hear much opposition,
Did anybody bring up anything about, instead of saying fake news, did anybody say these words to party oligarchy or more plutocracy? I thought you said something like that.
They say that, but again, that's kind of like the irony in it, It's like, they're like, Jennifer Lawrence stood up there and said, we need, these big parties don't represent us, and we need, big money out of politics so they can I think she said they don't represent us. Fuck that. Well, okay, sure, but you said I'm with her, Jennifer. So,
well, maybe people are chasing. You know what's good about this, though? I heard some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Citizens United bringing that into the table, ranked choice voting bringing that out to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Electoral College bring that. Keep everybody talking. It's good that they're talking about it. If Broken Carpenter was here right now, I'd say it's good that they're out there at least talking about it. I'm kind of.
Oh, they're not just talking; they're doing stuff.
But that's good too. Yeah, they're doing.
Yeah,
that's good.
they're definitely working on things, which is great. I just wonder if they have the ability to see all of this corruption and influence of money coming from the Democrats.
And Citizens United, yes. They brought up that. I'm very, very excited about that.
But here's the thing. We shouldn't have one political party, especially the party that lost, taking the charge against issues with the voting system, the pitfalls of the voting system.
So the riggers it's like putting the fox in charge of the hen house. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, how could it not have been the biggest story there that Tim Canova is suing? And that, do you know that they threw out those ballots after he had already requested them as part of like the investigation? They threw it out. They got rid of them after.
They knew he was coming, so they baked a cake.
But how that was not like the biggest story there, I don't understand. And that's my main point. And how
did anybody bring up Jared Beck or Elizabeth Beck getting the repeal or granted?
I saw that on the Independent Voter Network website. So I didn't actually hear talk about it, but that group is pretty cool. I like them. They were probably the most, I mean, you can just look at their website. They're not.
Independent Voter website. I think I pulled it up before. I think it's in my list.
Independent Voter Network.
Bring it up.
Yeah, they're good. I like them. And they, yeah, I would.
What about the typing? Hey, did you guys know I saw Bram at a Green Party meeting this Sunday?
I heard that.
Cool.
He's a cool guy, man. We were listening to this guy named Mike Feinstein, no relation to Dianne Feinstein.
Good.
Great stuff. He was right on. But we were just watching, listening, and as soon as it was done, he had to go and take off. But it was good to meet him. It's good to like put a physical, tangible person to this virtual thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
We should, like you keep saying, we should have like our own summit. We should have like a Vegas summit. I want to go to Vegas. That's what, yeah.
You guys need to come to Tennessee.
Where in Tennessee are you?
Just outside of Nashville in Cannon County.
We'll pull all our money together at the roulette table on green.
There you go.
Well, I think so far the best summit that I've been to, I've been to 3, so was definitely the People's Convergence in DC. The location was good at American University. I think that's a great spot for it's kind of in the middle, but that was the most really true grassroots independent like work and stuff that I heard. The People's Summit and Unrig the System definitely felt like a corporate Dem organized events. So
yeah, I mean, the money? It's like shadow money. We don't know who's putting in all the money, but obviously, no one like us is going to be able to front money like that. The Green Party isn't able to fund something like that.
But okay.
You can send me some money.
Speaking of money,
it's okay. Don't listen to him. Go ahead and send me money.
You know what?
Okay.
Speaking of money and all this, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I remember thinking when I heard, when Citizens United passed it, like at some point, so many ads, like it doesn't matter anymore. People are saturated with it. They're not paying attention. And it bothers me that, I'm sure a lot of these candidates that are running feel like they have to have money, right? I mean, you say this, James, that the Green Party, doesn't have enough funding. They need money. But these days, isn't it more powerful, like word of mouth? And I know that Facebook and Twitter, all this, the censoring is like getting worse every day. So that's a huge problem. But I mean, when Marcia Squire said, and it was the funniest thing, she's like, I'm trying to run on like the least amount of money I'm going to set a record. And she says $49.99. I just thought that was hilarious. Like, I think it's really cool. And if you run on, not with money, you can do this without money. You need an internet connection, like all the stuff we're doing, right? We've got Zoom and internet connections, but really, at some point, the money just doesn't matter, does it?
Well, I mean, like people like to have volunteers during the campaigns. What about having? I mean, like relying on. I mean, even afterwards, more community-based help or something like that would be interesting to see.
Well, I mean, isn't money is just it's like work plus time equals money. So if you don't have money, like you're just going to have to, put more work and time into it. So, in order to do that, you're just going to need people. So, if you don't have money, go out there and talk to the people.
Yeah.
Right.
And what should happen, like Dr. Shiva did a good job at fundraising, and he's not even near spending all of it. I think he's probably got half of what he raised, 2.1 million in 2017, whatever he's getting now. I think good fundraisers for like independent, non-affiliated people, they should try to help other people, because once you get in office, you're going to need as many allies as you can. So if you can get other non-affiliated candidates some support, I think that's a big.
I think also another thing is like people getting in office and then proving themselves at one level, and then being candidates to go on to like do like larger positions, because it's either that or celebrities. It's either like politicians or celebrities or nobodies. Or what is Donald Trump? I don't know. He's a businessman / celebrity. Now he's a politician. I don't know. He's so yeah, like that guy could prove himself, then like at a smaller level, then and get things done. Then I guess.
But what do you actually need the money for? I mean, aside from like merchandise, T-shirts, what do you need the money for? For paid ads on MSNBC? I mean,
that part you don't.
No. So what?
To actually have a ground campaign where you can actually travel to different towns and actually have like town halls, so you can do a lot of on the road stuff, and that's what's actually important. Because if you look at Elizabeth Warren, she's not campaigning in Massachusetts very much. She's outside of Massachusetts raising money, and she's got a lot of money, but all that money is going into other Democrats, to national advertising, national spotlights, but the actual voters, that's in Massachusetts. She's not going to the rural areas within Massachusetts. She's not going to the small towns. She's settling on big national level and big populations within the greater Boston. She could lose.
Wow. What is this? Number one, like currently, is this a current? Oh.
This is August 17, 2017. But what I'm saying, and I tell you, it doesn't hurt to have a little money.
Yeah.
I don't want you guys to think that I think that money is the cure-all, but when it comes to the higher the position, especially POTUS, or especially a House position or a Senate position in Congress on the Hill, it's going to take a little money, because you're competing with a lot of.
What if you had a candidate like I always, we
look at the
hear
money.
These amounts.
There's tons of money. All this money.
When we hear these amounts, right? They're stupid, obscene amounts. What if
advertising?
Yeah, I know. So, but marketing. we can do by social media, except for the censorship. But what if, when you hear these amounts and you're like, my God, what could be done with that money? You could build a school. You could fix the water in Flint. What if a candidate, raised that money? But talk about good advertising. What if a candidate raised that money and took that money and fix the fucking water in Flint.
Yeah, but you could
Raise a
do
bunch
more.
of
You could do
plumbers.
more as president or in power. You could do more than that. So like to do it as a publicity stunt and then lose. It's just as bad as everybody else losing everybody's money. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really feel that bad for the people like the Hillary Clinton, like huge donors or something like that. Like are people like huge donors, but like for people like Bernie Sanders or Obama supporters who paid a little bit of money at a time and gave all their time, like are people who feel disappointed if they're Obama, are people who, you know, when Bernie lost, it's kind of like a waste. It's kind of like you feel like I feel like you know, that's it's hard. It's hard to prevent. It's like eventually people aren't going to fall for it. Maybe not yet, but before
But
too
do you
long.
see what I'm saying? Like, instead of like just stupid ads, like do something meaningful that like use that kind of money to do something cool. It's not a publicity stunt. It would be actually doing something good. But the plus would be that it would get good publicity. I mean, imagine that.
Yeah.
And also it would make it to where, I mean, you run it against your opponent. You know, you say, well, look, you know, he's got all this money, and what's he doing with it? Look what I'm doing with the little money. I'm way. Look how I can spend money. Look how you know, I can be frivolous. You know, I know when to spend it and when to save it. You know, and I don't want your money. You know, if you want to help out a little bit, sure, but make that the secondary point.
I mean, but I'd like to see results that are over time.
And plus, people are getting to the point where, you know, they're getting tapped out. You know, I mean, and what you were saying, Ben, you know, they're burned. They don't want to donate anymore, or you know, they've already given and given and given. You know, all these media outlets. You know, you help out there, you help out here, and it's just like, damn, you know, I don't have anything left.
Yeah. That's a great strategy, and I think people that should be used. Like, go to these towns. What are their problems? Do they have crumbling infrastructure? Do they have people who don't have jobs? We'll hire them for the campaign.
Jack Johnson did a whole tour around the country, and every place that he played, he gave 100% of the proceeds to a local environmental charity at one point, back in 2010.
I mean, I don't know. I think
the idea is to
a one-time fix. A one-time fix is what.
Hold on, let Chad go. Chad go, please. Ben, let Chad go. He just wanted to say something.
No, so the main thing really is just to be able to organize the resources, and once everybody is on board with the idea is to kind of circumvent, go around, you know, the bullshit, you know, system. You know, it's almost like buying stuff at wholesale or doing stuff ourselves, creating individually, you know, more entrepreneurs, more individual work base, and starting to, you know, share within that system.
Right. I mean, imagine if Marcia Squire, for example, she's in Michigan, said, okay, I'm raising money for my campaign, and this is what I'm going to do with it. And she ended up donating all of it, whatever it is, to Flint and to fixing or I'm just using that as an example. It could be anything, but she's in Michigan. So fixing the water problem, giving people, you know, plumbers jobs, and imagine that, like.
And you get maybe not from mainstream media press, but from independent media press, you're gonna get.
Oh my God! Yeah, because Stevie's right. People are tapped out after Bernie. They're like, I gave $27 when I couldn't afford it, you know, and
like
you get an email. Yeah, when you get an email from TYT, which was disgusting, asking for the same amount, $27. I mean, people are just like done with it. But if you said
they just got bought,
use this money to go fix the water in Flint or whatever other thing, you know, or help build this voter database, this thing, vote matrix revolution, you know, give people, like, because you want to know where your money's going.
Because then what?
Huh?
Because then what?
What do you mean?
And what's your plan? What's your the policy? I mean, there's got to be I mean, there's got to be. It's all about using money for an end, for a purpose that's like smarter than some other purpose to use money for. So like if you use a bit of money, you use hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it was, to have run the right campaign. Milking people's money every so often and then and like losing is I think it's a shameful thing. Like, I don't know.
It's a stupid process.
I think it's only cool if you win and then do what you said.
No, look, even if you can say, look, you spent your campaign money on helping towns across wherever you're running for. Even if you lose, it's a win.
Exactly.
Because you're
That's
still
a great point. This is what I'm going to show you this. I passed this out. This is why I love this pamphlet. I love when I worked for Bernie, I was passing this out. I don't know if the same was similar to this, but if you see it says, "Stop electing Wall Street." That all this crap about the money that Hillary got from Wall Street and all the money that Bernie got and all this other shit. But the thing is those are pamphlets. So there's direct marketing when you get something in the mail. There's also, going out and passing out feet to the street marketing, they call it. Hanging door hangers. There's all kinds of different ways of marketing your candidate. And some of it's effective and some of it's not that effective. But the more money you have, you just saw it. I posted the amount, $4 billion, 2017. That amount of money, somebody's going to reach just enough people in every media avenue that there is. Whether you're hanging it, whether you're mailing it, whether it's on video, you're trying to reach as many people in every different media aspect as possible. Every single source that's out there. You don't want to miss anything. You see what I'm saying? So this is where the money comes. This is what the money's used for. And the Green Party doesn't have that kind of fucking money. And a lot of other parties.
$700,000 to the water, it's a one-time thing. If you give $700,000 to Snork and say build a factory that's going
to help things,
really something, then you have a long-term effect. And
I agree. I'm just saying this is what they're doing. I agree with that. That's a brilliant idea. And go in and take your money that you're getting funded by, and you pull up in your 2012 Toyota truck instead of your limousine like some of these fuckers do, and pulling up in their G6 Lear jet. You pull up in your truck and say, "Hey, all this money I have, I'm gonna write you a check. Can you just fix the water system for these people, please?" Well, how many votes is that? That's
a good idea. And a few years later, maybe you can fix 20-fold that amount with the same money.
So wait, Amanda,
have a model to do that 10 times more.
Amanda, were you wanting to say something? I saw you, or are you just fanning?
I'm sorry, but my brain can't leave. What did you say about we win no matter what?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I just can't leave that.
I'm saying if you spend your campaign money going across the state that you're in to try to get more awareness about your platform for your candidacy, you pour money into these towns to help fix infrastructure issues or whatever, that even if you don't win the candidacy, you're still doing good. You're still winning in the end.
BRB.
You're still making.
I wonder what kind of laws. I'm sure there's laws in place about how you can spend your campaign money. Like that would be something to check on. Mm-hmm. But also, as far as like, when it comes to media, it's like people don't trust it anymore. Yeah. Nobody trusts the media. So if you have an ad that's playing on, the radio or on TV, that might actually hurt you a little bit, because you're running, and right after your ad, you're going to see your opponent's ad, and then it just becomes like this white noise thing. But if one of your coworkers or your neighbor or your mom or somebody says, "Hey, I just met this really phenomenal candidate, go check her out. Like, here's her website," that I think that would have more credibility.
Exactly. And it's so we can thank Trump for, saying fake news so many times. So you're right. People don't believe it. And then you're basically sidestepping the whole process. Like we know it's a losing game, right? You can't beat that system. So you just say, never mind, I'm not playing. Why would I spend, take all this money from the people and then give it to these awful media companies to run my ads? It's just
make them irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just doing something completely aside from what the normal rules of the game are.
The money.
You could take smaller thing. Another thing that just popped in my head was like, summer programs for kids, like that don't have like extracurricular activities and camps and things like that. You could do any number of things like that would help. And then this candidate can say, and hell, even if they do it just as a publicity stunt, the end result is it would still help people. It would still help change things instead of money just being wasted.
And here's the thing for the next campaign, even if they lose, is you can say, hey, I ran in 2018 and I lost, but I did all this.
Mm-hmm.
The candidate who won for 2 years did nothing. I did more running in the campaign and not being elected than the person who won the campaign.
Right. And
wow, that's a good point. Long-term strategy.
Yeah.
Regular people on the ground would see that, like in their own communities. They would know it. They would feel it. It would be real.
Or if you ran on something really amazing, like actualizing Obama's plan to like tax everybody who makes more than $200,000, and maybe at the same time set a flat tax for everybody that makes under $100,000, like at 10%, and then just like that's it, 10%, and then closing down or cutting into loopholes and whatever else to and tax evasion, really things like that for like the upper class and like to make the difference rather than people's healthcare. And crap like that, and giving people a minimum wage, something like just standing up for those things simply, and then actually winning, and then actually doing that, like that would mean a lot, like to so many people, or that would be like, tremendous. Really cut our taxes. All the crap about cutting taxes that Bush could be like, oh, I'm going to cut your taxes. I'm cutting taxes and cut trillions of dollars of tax cuts, and literally say out loud, they're trickle down. It's going to happen. It's going to trickle down to you. And that flew, and Head Start and Pell Grants and you name it, whatever suffered for it, Social Security, whatever. And then half the country thinks that's cool because whoever party side you're on, you're just cool with everything that they do that's messed up. And like, I was kind of wondering, were the Democrats always this bad, or is it just they just become bad and like. Well, and I thought like that my friends or people who said family or people who like, oh, that's liberal media, like they were right, but it's like they were right. There was a liberal media, but it's like, did the media become bad? Did they just all have to keep their mouth shut now, or was like there was a liberal media and they understood there was something bad about that, like that there was something pandering and patronizing about that, like a long time ago, and there probably was something patronizing and pandering a long time ago. Now I think it's mostly patronizing pandering.
So I guess like Stevie said, we need to just look and see like what those rules are or what you can spend on. I mean, like here, I just pulled something up. 2018 campaign ad spend will be in the billions. I mean, how many Americans hear that and go, what the hell? I mean, billions for what? Where does it go? What does it go to? Nothing. It vanishes into thin air. You have nothing to show for all that money at the end of it all.
Yeah, like James was showing, like $6.5 billion was raised to run campaigns and stuff like that for 2016. Imagine $6.5 billion being used to help infrastructure across the country while you're running. Like, do something productive with your campaign money.
I think it would work better if there was both parties doing it.
If everyone was doing it, yeah, but you know what? If it won't happen until someone starts, and I think
like a competition, I'm going to raise more for charity. No,
it's not just raising more for charity because those charities are scams, anyways.
Yeah.
there's a few that are legit, but still, you want to actually make real positive changes in communities, and they'll see that you're already doing stuff and you're not even elected.
Right. And think about how many volunteers would be inspired by that, because let's say you're an IT guy and you want to help set up that voter thing, or you're somebody that works in social services, so you want to help with the summer camp program or whatever. People could pick and choose like their thing that they are inspired by. That was one of the things that Carla lady mentioned. She was talking about when you're organizing, like always ask people like what, kind of like what's your story, like what inspires you, like why are you here. But so like if people are engaged like in something that they care about, then you have more volunteers, and then they're like helping to get that person elected because they're talking about the thing they're interested in, plus this candidate is helping with it.
It's basically word of mouth advertising.
Yeah. So screw TV ads. I mean, I don't know. I just think that's something that across the board, people hear those numbers with dollar signs and it's just obscene. It's stupid. It's so much money,
Grotesquely.
Yeah. You think, wow, I could pay off like everyone I know's like mortgage or so, I mean, you just think of what you could do with that money or something.
Or even like, instead of having, these parties or rallies, have a get together where you're doing something like, I don't know how effective this would be or who would show up, but, have a thing where people can get together and garden, for a community garden or, like fundraise. So that way you're getting out to the people, but you're also cleaning it up as you're going along,
Yeah. I mean, do some good with what you got before, I mean,
okay, let's do this. How do we do it? Let's do it.
Maybe we just reach out to politicians. Maybe whoever runs, we just try to get as many people to raise money, and then actually have that person, whoever's running, don't really focus on your campaign. Focus on, focus on issues, yes, but focus on using that money to actually help communities, and then everything else will follow. I mean, that's as grassroots as you can go.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't it be, okay, so let's say you succeed and like this becomes like flourishing phenomenon and happens all the time, and it's like thing, and it's really great because it's so helpful to these things. But like, what if there was somehow like all money out of politics, all donors, all donations, like, there can be boards and there can be meetings where people discuss, commerce and whatever needs, whatever issues, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't have to be about money. And then like all the campaigns got equal amount, and like there's some kind of process where, either like a sub-primary process or some kind of process where people got to be, once they're in the primary, they got so much money. Once they're in the running, they got so much money. That's it. And like, you got equal amount of money, like that people have suggested before. I mean, would you guys be sad? Like, you wouldn't be sad. You'd rather have that, right? Like, actually some kind of solution. Because I mean, we were talking about a solution earlier. Now we're talking about this thing. I don't know.
Okay. Well, here's another thing is, here's an odd thing. You raise a good enough money, and you realize you can't really spend it.
This is the Band-Aid.
Hold on.
Band-Aid.
Yeah. So you can't spend the money. You know that you're on the schedule of how much you're spending and when the actual voting is going to take place. What you do is, instead of spending that money, whatever, you can't do it, give it to a candidate to have them do the same thing. Another independent candidate, maybe a Green Party candidate, Libertarian candidate. What your message is, we want as many candidates as possible running so they can represent the most amount of people. And what you want to do is raise other people's platforms, and you want a fair race. You say, hey, I got this much money, I'm going to give it to my opponent. He or she's got some valid issues that I may not agree with, but I support their reasoning behind it. I don't think it'll work, and here's my reasoning. But you know what? I'd rather have this person win if I lose than these other candidates. So it's kind of like you're supporting you're supporting your opposition but you'd rather have that opposition win than the other candidates because
yeah, it's like welcoming the challenge. Like you, I mean, it's like you're secure enough in your positions that it's like if I'm saying something wrong, I've got this other guy that's going to challenge me to make me a better candidate.
Yeah. So like just recently, Victor asked me if I'd do a little, I don't know, couple minute kind of, I don't know, I guess ad or whatever, asking people to donate. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I just don't. If it were, because I think everybody's sick of being asked for money. But if it was like, these candidates here are raising money and we have this program, we're going to do X thing, whatever that, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. But otherwise, I'm just like, I don't want to ask people for money.
I think if you're doing the right thing, you won't have to ask, and it would be really great to go beyond focusing on that.
And another thing is maybe pool your money against other candidates that aren't like Republican or Democrats. It's like you're as an independent, or you've got Green Party, you got Libertarians. They're not raising enough money, but pool your money to go to the same places and have your own debates within that small town. Get the debates going and say, hey, Democrats, Republicans, you guys can come too. I mean, we're all chipping in our money, so chip in too. But you're invited, but I doubt you'll come, and you'll see that
they just look bad because they raised all this money and they're just gonna give it to Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, I
mean, it's a win-win, really. I don't know. We need to look into what the rules are about spending, I guess. Whatever.
So if I have a million people and you have $3 million, I guess you're going to win the election, but it shouldn't be that way, right?
Yeah. I mean, exposure is one thing, but we can't, like I said, we can't compete with the amount of money that the two-party oligarchy is raising. We can't. We have to think of alternatives, and we can't win the same way that they're already winning at. We
can't win at their game where they're making the rules.
Exactly.
No, we just sidestep it and say, nope, we're doing our own thing.
It depends who you're appealing to. I mean, like that's why the Bernie voter was the typical like $27, right? But one thing probably follows the other. Like if you had a million people, then you'd have money, right? So.
Yeah.
It's better to raise money from people that are local and giving it back to the communities in order to push what you're fighting for than giving it to big news media, which the money we just circulates outside the communities anyway.
Right. Yeah, we're just lining the pockets. So yeah. Well, I'll look into it. I don't know how all that works with the, what is it, 529s. I don't know all that campaign law, how that works, what you can spend on and that kind of thing.
I mean, I think it's spent on anything really, as long as it pertains to your campaign. I mean, I don't think they can say you can't spend it on, like, say, putting all that money on like a roulette table or something. It has to be campaign.
Right.
So if you're using that campaign money to raise awareness for your campaign by creating, fixing up like roads in the town.
Or unless you're building a casino.
Yeah, you can't build a casino for an awareness. You can't build it. Yeah. I mean, it's not like private where you benefit. But if it's something public that benefits the public,
right,
do it to raise awareness. I don't see any pitfalls against it. But yeah, definitely something to look into, because that's a good strategy, good approach, I think, because
I'm wondering if we can't start something like with the CFAR candidates.
And instead of negative campaigns against people, what do you do is positive campaigns against your opposition candidates. It's like, hey, I support my candidate's position on this. I support my candidates on this. But here's the thing that I don't support it. And this is what I want you to make a decision as a citizen, is whether you would rather have this or that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And talk about getting people engaged instead of just tuned out, right?
Yeah. I mean, we all know we all hate these these attack ads. We also hate all these fake ads where it's like, I'm a
Yeah.
hunter. I've got
Oh
this.
God.
I got this hunting cap. I got a shotgun, and
Or our children are watching. It's
yeah.
my favorite one.
I got this pickup truck. I'm a countryman. Right.
Yeah, right. Duck Dynasty ads. Those are
Yeah.
good. All right. So, hey, Ebon, when are you moving?
We're driving down this weekend. I'm flying back and forth. I'll be like settling down, getting everything packed up and ready to move at end of March, end of April. Depends on whether we get a house. Snork, we'll see if we can meet up on our road trip.
Coming this weekend?
Where are we leaving this weekend?
What day do you think you'll get here?
With 2 kids, 1 a baby, we're gonna have a lot of stops. So I don't know.
You're going into a blizzard.
Yep, we are.
Wait, Omaha? Is that what you said?
An hour and a half west of Omaha.
Wow. Okay. But you know people, your wife's family or something out there?
They're all in Omaha mostly. There's some in Lincoln. There's some in South Dakota.
He's going to pass by me too.
Yeah. I would like to stop by and visit, but we'll see.
You're not going to make it. If the weather's bad, get there.
Yeah.
I might stop down, have a sandwich with you in Iowa City, because you'll be passing right through there.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll do a live stream.
We need to see what the weather's going to be like, whether it's, how we're going to get.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been in Boston?
10 or 11, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But you're excited. You're not gonna miss it. You're ready to go.
I'm gonna miss it. I mean, there's good things, bad things. Of course, any place.
What's the drive? Like, what's the approximate sort of drive to like the nearest big town? Because there's like nothing out there, right?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Gas stations.
Omaha is probably the closest city in Columbus.
But there's a pizza place in York.
That's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, the situation's. I mean, I'm putting my full efforts. I don't have a job secured or anything, so I'm putting my full efforts into activism, media, my company's software. See how it goes. I have enough.
You have a river.
Yeah, I have enough experience and whatever knowledge that if I need to, I can fall back and get a job anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm not worried. It's not like
But you can probably work remotely too, right?
Yeah, there's possibilities of that. I mean, all my stuff that I do anyways for all this is all remotely anyway, right?
Yeah.
So if I can do this, if we could lead a media, we could have interviews, we could do outreach, we can do whatever remotely. There's no reason why I can't do anything else. Most of the stuff, you don't need to be in the office anymore. I think that's just a big waste. Like
it is.
I mean, all the gas that you'd have to fill up on, fuel, whatever. All the lights that had to be on in these buildings. I mean, it's just.
I know Michael's doing this now. He's driving to Raleigh every day. Yeah. It's awful because it's 45 minutes each way. Because his company, the woman that started this company made like $3 million or something. Mm-hmm. So she sold it to LabCorp, Covance, I believe, and all the little people get left behind doing all the shitty grunt work. But yeah, he's commuting. It's terrible. It's like so much wear and tear on the car and gas. And
like trying to find somebody to like carpool with.
Yeah, if we really want to cut down on climate change,
mm-hmm.
we should actually try to be doing as much as we can by telecommuting and not actually physically being in these offices.
Right. I mean, what's the point? I don't get it, especially if you work in IT.
Yeah. If we're working in software, I mean,
mm-hmm.
it just doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, we're creating things in a digital arena. Mm-hmm. Let's drive physically
Yeah.
20, 30 miles back and forth, waste some time.
Right.
When,
It's a time waster too.
yeah.
Absolutely.
When
All right.
we're
Well, you
just
have
creating.
to tell me more what you're doing. Like, I've been busy, so I haven't paid attention with the media company.
Yeah, it's just this stuff, informational, getting together, all this things like this. We want to put money into it so it always stays free. Yeah, my idea is all this other stuff, training tutorials, yeah, analysis, reviews, strategic, tactical, survival, for self-defense, all this other stuff. Keep it simple, $1 per month or whatever, however it can just keep going. And then if you feel like you can provide more than that per month, if you really like it, then what you do is you get promo codes. So if you put $5 a month, $4 you can give promo code to 4 other people so they can have access for a month. And then what I might do is like after a certain amount of time, maybe 2 months, 3 months, just put it for free. So basically you're just getting 2 months, if you don't want to wait 2 months for access. So
and so some of the drama, I didn't even really know what all was going on, but you have a handle on some of the drama that flared up. That's all been worked out, whatever.
Real quickly, I wanted to say that sounds like it's been well thought out. It's like sounds pretty good.
I mean, you have some more rules and guidelines of how things are going to go, like the chats and stuff like that.
Not really. Like I think there's gonna be warnings. There's gonna be like a temporary suspension, but like you keep it up, you're banned. So like it's sorry, baby's crying. So it's basically you don't want to censor anyone else's right to speak. Like if someone comes on and just wants to take the microphone, it's like, dude, there's 10 other people on here that want to talk. Don't hog the microphone. If if you can get on here, you can host your own YouTube. You can host your own stream. You don't have to take up our space, our time, and then call us out for preventing your right for free speech. We share the mic equally here.
It's going to be interesting to see seems like recently Facebook has gotten even worse. Twitter, YouTube, all the controlling the information. That's really scary. I wonder how that's going to go. I know that Victor had, promoted a lot of things or posted things on Facebook. He keeps talking about being put in Facebook jail, where they like limit how much he can post or something. Like, why are we using Facebook? Like, I don't know. I hate Facebook anyway, but it just seems like we've got to have stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe you know what, building another, whether that's what you're doing. What is it? Steam. What is Steam It? I haven't been paying attention.
So
is that another platform for?
Yeah,
chat,
it's like cryptocurrency driving it. I don't know all the details because I didn't explore, but it's, and then you've got a streaming area called DLive, and so you can stream. The only problem is once the stream is offline, you don't have access to it. So the alternative is to have not DLive, DTube. So DTube is like YouTube, except there's no streaming. So, but you can upload what you've done. So instead of posting it directly on Steam It, like upload videos to it, when I'm planning on doing, and I'll try to do a training session later, is you go ahead and restream on DLive, so people see that you're broadcasting live, can watch it. The only problems right now, and I've tested it, is you got a 20 to 30 second delay between what you're, like if we're here, we're talking, people watching it, it's 20, 30 seconds difference. And also another thing is, if people are chatting, and we have a lot of people who like to chat on the live chat, is if once they submit something, they have to wait 20 seconds before they could submit something else. So there's by the time they want to type in,
they can come on camera and talk.
Yeah, some people don't want to do that.
Okay, well, without the video, you can come on and talk with your voice.
Yeah.
But
and then
I wouldn't see that as a drawback, but that my position on that.
Yeah.
But no, that's good that you're finding other avenues, because I really, I mean, I keep seeing like Jimmy Dore's had people unsubscribed, and like Victor and Facebook, they're really trying to crack down on all that. Yeah. The powers that be, whoever that is.
My main YouTube page, I mean, I've got excellent standing, but my live stream is terminated because the Weather Channel, you play snippets, whatever, and someone manually from the Weather Channel submitted that, hey, this is copyright. Your live stream isn't allowed anymore.
The Weather Channel.
Yeah, the
Weather Channel. That is so weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a matter of time. I mean, the powers that be can't stop this. I mean, it's inconvenient, I think, right now, but I know there are enough people like you, Ebon, out there that will find the workarounds for it, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, tech will get better. The more strict places are, like platforms are, the more push there will be for decentralization. And then there's just going to be, once it gets too out of control, you're going to see bigger push in laws, like the entire internet. What was that called again? My mind's mush.
Oh, net neutrality.
Net neutrality, right? They're gonna want to push things to stem freedom, internet freedom.
Oh, that was another big thing that was talked about at Unrig, was the foreign, where you have to register as a foreign agent. That whole bit, we talked about that in the From Russia with Facebook panel, and I heard it a couple other places, like just how important it was, and that I just don't understand. The libertarian guy said something about, do you not get how this is actually stifling dissent all over? I think it's mainly to stifle dissent on the left. But
I was just going to mention that there's a guy that got 10 years in jail or 14 years in jail in Vietnam for criticizing a chemical plant or something, or no, some kind of steel plant or something like that. So I thought that was, I mean, it's I got a big, long, heated, very drunken argument discussion, this Australian guy once. And he was just like, it's really, he's just like, with the United States, though, they have, you have their, like, just like written into your constitution, the right to protest and the right to do all these things or whatever, basically. So it's pretty, we shouldn't take it for granted. And, eventually somebody here could go to jail for criticizing fracking or some, something like that. I like what James was at, criticizing waste storage or something.
It's fine. They can come after me as much as they want. I'm going to go after them when I come out. I'll go after them when I'm in jail, prison, whatever. I'm just going to keep fighting. And the harder they push, the harder I push back. That's as simple as it is. I mean, if they're going after you anyways, you're either going to fold or you're going to fight back. So if you fold, what's the whole point of doing this anyway?
Right.
There was a factory in southern China somewhere about 3 or 4 years ago, and they were citing like that there was some other village where they built this same factory and they had all these incidents, these cancers or whatever. So they were citing this, right? And they had this big protest, and then all of a sudden there was like this viral video where like there were like 150 or 120 guys in like black like military stuff just like came and suppressed the rebellion. You never heard anything else about it. That's how it went down in China with that one.
Speaking of crazy
shit, they just didn't want. We're gonna build it like next to the school and stuff, and they're like gonna be building it next to these schools, next to these communities, and they're like, we know what happened in these other cities. We don't want that here.
So here's the YouTube. Look at my copyright status. Very happy. Guideline status. Very happy. Live streaming disabled. And then if you look at what it is. Content, manually detected content. So it wasn't even an algorithm. Claimant, Weather Channel. Angelia.henderson@weathergroup.com. Policy, video taken down. I could submit counter notification, but if I submit counter notification, they could sue me. Request retraction. I'd have to just contact them and say blah, blah, blah. Basically, yeah, main account down.
Oh.
And of course, my standing is superb.
Have you looked to see if you could find her
Weather Channel
Facebook and stuff?
Was that?
Have you looked to see if you could find this person, like on Facebook and stuff?
I don't care. I want to migrate anyway. I don't want any ads. I'm trying to limit the revenue that YouTube gets or Google. Limit the revenue that eventually Twitter will get with Periscope. You know, that's why switching to Gab, switching to Steemit. Limit the revenue that Patreon will get. Limit everything that if we really want to divest, if you really want not just banks, but if you want to divest from independent media to giving more money towards mainstream corporations, mainstream media supporters, then we need to also divest in getting them a big chunk of money for what content creators do. YouTube revenue, they get like 55%. Content creators 45%. Even Super Chat, same thing. Patreon gets a big cut. So yeah, if we really want to prevent the big corporations to taking, I mean, if we really want to stop big media conglomerates, you got to tell everyone that you're watching, all the Patreon people that you're paying money into, is leave. Find alternatives where the content creator gets the majority of the money. None of it's getting cut back into the big media.
Yep. Stop playing their game.
Yeah.
Holly Seeliger was mentioning that people gave her stuff, like sent it to her PO box, and you know, it'd be cool if like you could, like, I have like some products, like really like local products and really small businesses and stuff that like I'd like to promote or like send people that I liked, you know. So like, I don't know, there's something anywhere, if there's anything to that anywhere, but like somehow starting something like donate like items to people. But I don't know, there's this whole anecdote or little story, like, you know, if you really like avocados and then you try to give avocado to me, but I don't like avocados, but you really think I like avocados because you like avocados, but I don't want it. Like, is it really a good thing? Are you really doing a nice thing for me? Like,
and like for me, I can say one thing for sure. However long I've been doing this, I've not taken 1 cent. I did that fundraising thing with Tim Black, but all the money that anyone donated has gone back to them. And that
if anything, Ebon, you're like sending people cameras and you're donating. I know, but thank you. You're modest about it. And I know you don't do it for, you know, but thank you. I mean, I have a decent camera here.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's like, I just want to give him a big hug. I mean, this was bugging me more than anything. It was the camera and the mic issue. And now
the mic issue is good.
So I know this is kind of an abrupt change of subject and it's really late, so we should probably go pretty soon. But have you guys discussed, you guys hear about the white package of, I don't know if it was anthrax or whatever was sent to
they're still investigating it.
Julian Assange, right?
Yeah. It hasn't come back from the lab yet. The official.
Oh, okay.
And
well, it's good to talk to all of you. I think I was having a little bit of like the summit was good, but a little bit of like just, I don't know, like anger and frustration at the fact that, you know, there wasn't more talk about the election rigging, and we still don't have just justice in general, you know, and it's hard not to get like disheartened, you know. And we spent actually a lot of time in the car listening to Randy Credico. Have you guys tuned into his radio show? And
I haven't listened. I've listened to a few, but yeah.
It's so good. And he's like interviewing Assange and Craig Murray. if I don't know if you guys remember Craig Murray, anybody? He's the guy that basically said, I can't remember the exact quote, but like he knew it wasn't a hack. And he alludes to, I mean, you can read between the lines on who he's talking about. But anyway, he also interviewed John Pilger. So that was good to like hear all of that. But I was just kind of feeling like, my God, you know, that same sense I think we all have is like, when is this shit gonna stop? When is there gonna be justice? When is this gonna fall down? You know, like how long can this Russia story go? How long? Because you listen to John Pilger talking to Randy Credico about the state of journalism. And while it's really good to hear someone talking sense and just spelling out exactly how much propaganda we're dealing with in this country, it's also like, it's so disheartening to realize that it just keeps going and people are just still brainwashed by it, you know? Isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It bothers me, but
I always. Oh, go ahead, James.
Okay, I got the answer for you in regards to Russia Gate. I got to show you real quick.
okay.
Russia. This is how long they're going to carry this shit. I'm going to show you. This is the facts. This is the facts. I'm going to show you. Ready?
I'm gonna pull my hair out over this.
Yeah, this is anxiety shit.
I know it's pretty sad, but you got to watch this. This is important.
No sound.
No sound, James.
James. So stop the share. Stop the share.
Okay.
Now, when you click on the share button on the bottom of it are going to be two radio selections. One of it is going to be share computer sound. Check that box.
Okay.
Okay. Now go and share.
Wait. Stop. Let me do that. Hold on. I'm going to do that. Okay. Go on the bottom share. And then it's going to say share computer sound. Oh, look at that. It's so cute. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Right, you stop sharing.
Then I stop sharing. Okay, of course.
Come on, Joey.
So this is Ebon. He helps all of us.
Myrtle asked the cops how long he had to keep the beast chained up like a slave. They said until forever.
That's how long they're gonna run that shit.
I don't know. Do you ever just get to a point where I don't know. It's really hard sometimes to maintain, I don't know, just not, I guess being in that summit, like part of me just wanted to yell out in the middle of
but my strategy is
bye-bye. Aloha, guys.
Good night, James.
Aloha, James. Aloha,
seeing you. Good job, by the way, Kelly.
Oh, thank you.
And everybody else. I'll be on tomorrow night. I'm fixing this internet speed.
Awesome, James.
That'd be crazy.
So my strategy is do things that they haven't faced before because they'll have a hard time adjusting to it. Any type of big system. Two is rather than destroy people who don't support us or fight them, is to convert them. Anyone who allies with us, less we have to worry about fighting, and we actually have more people on our side. And then it's rather than using the same strategy as the opposition, which is divide and conquer, we actually need to just unite as however much we can, and just keep everything together. Find the common denominators that'll keep us together, because what it is they're gonna find differences. It's like we accept the differences. We just gotta, the main thing is corruption. Go against corruption. Everyone has to be against corruption.
Right. Exactly. There's another group that's doing another contract. Maybe I mentioned it before. I'm almost kind of like, I think their contract's better than ours actually, but it's called Candidates with a Contract, and they actually have like more. They've got like 50 some odd candidates signed on, and across the board, Republican too. because it's just anti-corruption, basically. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I think I was just when I heard about the like whether it's anthrax or not, after just listening to all this stuff in the car about Assange, and you just want justice. I want this propaganda shit to stop. I want justice. It's just like, imagine what if they killed him? What would happen? What would we do?
I know.
Someone has to take his place. I mean, he's the one fighting so many things. Everyone looks up to him. But who's willing? It's just like remember in the war, the flag bearer. The flag bearer goes down, someone else has to step up, take his place, like the movie Glory. It's the same thing. It's someone has to step up and fill that place, otherwise there's people just get lost and confused. It's that weird leadership herd mentality of humans and leadership and followers.
Yeah,
it would be nice. Go ahead.
I keep thinking, I know you don't watch cable news, and I don't either, except what I can get, on Twitter or YouTube. But I keep thinking, well, surely the shit's gonna fall down now. I mean, Hannity did this big thing on the memo, and you think we keep thinking it's gonna collapse, right? Or you're just grinning, Smart? Are you laughing at me saying that? I mean, how can it really keep going?
Sorry, I'm having an argument with the cat.
Oh, I'm so okay. No, I just wonder how it can keep going this way. That maybe there's enough push. Maybe it's from the right. I don't know.
That's what goes through my head. You mirror what goes through my head. It's like, then I end up saying, I don't know, at the end of all my mind.
I mean, it's I think we need to stop with the superhero mentality, and I think that's what the superhero movies are kind of making it worse in a way, because we're expecting a Jesus to save us, expecting like Captain America to save us. It's like, why can't we just roll up our sleeves, hitch up our boots, whatever you'd call it, and just get to work on ourselves.
Wait up, Batman's real.
We've got to have a moment though when somebody in the news says have you no decency, sir, about the McCarthyist crap. I mean, doesn't it have? I mean, I think enough people's eyes are open, aren't they? Or am I just? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
So
it's like a relativistic version of woke. It's like, yeah, I'm woke. I'm with President Trump. He's gonna be our savior. He's
right. I know.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Or I'm woke. No, I'm with her. It's like,
I mean, like I thought Elon Musk was gonna launch that car into orbit of Mars, like that we would kind of be there or something. I thought that was what they said originally. Maybe not. I know it's a big photo op and wonderful thing, and haha, yay.
Well,
I don't know what the point is and the purpose is, but he didn't succeed in putting it in orbit. Now it's like heading towards the asteroid belt. So yeah, could have gave me that car. I would have drove it.
Well, if you want to hear some real journalism and just facts.
It's 2017. It's 2017. Like, I mean,
Ben, can you please not interrupt when? Sorry.
Okay, maybe he didn't hear me. I was just gonna say, if you want to hear some real journalism, some great interviews, and just the facts and great analysis, I highly recommend listening to Randy Credico's interviews. They're really great, and they're long. So if you're driving, whatever, it's great to listen to. But I don't know, where else are you guys? Where are you guys going for information?
I'm looking through YouTube, wherever, just searching for anyone who speaks out. Like if you haven't seen it yet, like at the interview with Political Avenger, like at the interview with Chuck Morris. I mean, they're not like us, but they're they're hitting high with just the corruption and just the fact that people, even leaders on very held in very high regard, on like even liberals said, like what's his name, the author, keep forgetting his name. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name.
What book?
Plenty of books. He's got glasses. It's old.
You're talking about Chris Hedges?
No, man. Sorry. Yeah, and Noam Chomsky. Yeah.
Oh, Noam Chomsky. Yeah.
Sorry, I've been here for what?
It's late. It's very late. Well, yeah, I started.
Anyways, what I was just trying to say is like they are starting to kind of refuse to talking to anyone that kind of just has a different viewpoint. Like it used to be you just have debates, conversations with different views, and you illustrate your views and why it's valid, and when someone has an opinion of why it's not valid and what they are saying would be a better solution, and then you have a rebuttal, so it's just like a friendly conversational debate. Now it's like these conversations aren't being had, it's kind of refused. It's like, no, it's this stance is correct, whatever you have thoughts against it is wrong. It's like you're refusing to just listen to differences of opinion. Sorry,
yeah, it's just really scary trying to find credible places to look. Just I wanted to find out once I got out of the conference about the FISA memo, and I really didn't know where to go. Finally, Max Blumenthal, they did a video on it, but I don't know what is you got, any of your take on that? The FISA
I want to say something about what Ebon was saying. There could be a good instance of that though. Like if you were refusing to talk to someone back in the abolitionist age when slavery was still, happening, and somebody just was for slavery, you just refused to talk to them. I think that would be a good instance. Or if it was 100 years ago or a couple hundred years ago in Europe, you had people in cages and zoos, and you had people measuring people's heads and saying that these people are like, just like the guy said from Australia, Matt, or was saying that people thought of the Aborigines as like in between animals or something. So it's like if you were talking to those people and they were talking like that, Ebon, like you're just like, no, you're absolutely wrong, I don't want to talk to you. But it's like the people nowadays, they're equating being a Trump supporter with like that's their own like plight that they're going through, that they have to live through that age of like people that aren't PC enough. But it's not really a fair estimation, like equating those things and going through that drama. It's actually like self-indulgent, like it's like a vain, pompous, vapid, I don't know, stupor that they're in, actually.
Yeah, but the only way to do it is to get conversations. If we're just in our own little bubble, no one else is gonna look at the other bubbles or go into other thoughts. Like if someone you have high in regard, say Noam Chomsky, and then maybe he talks to someone like Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's been pretty prevalent nowadays. And you're like, wow, you got two great thinkers, and I'm seeing both sides of the picture now. And then you had someone else like Mark Blatt, an economist, and it's like, oh smokes, this is a pretty cool conversation, because it's not just a viewpoint of this, it's also a viewpoint of this and this and this. And so when you have people having these conversations, they add on to each other, they don't take away. And we just
the liberals, the Democrats, the mainstream thought right there, that core partisan person, they're not listening to Republicans that they believe, and I believe with them, that like some Republican views are absurd and ridiculous, and that like maybe they shouldn't be listened to, like about Medicare or about refugees or about different things. But like then they equate everybody who's not with Hillary as being with Trump, and that's just a broad brush thing that like that's their bad, but they treat everybody like that, and that's how they are. They're very resilient in their own like united. Like I don't know, they're very forwarded up. Like I don't know, or something like they're very held up in their own in their ways, and like they got a really strong base like within the loyalists. I think I call them the Democratic loyalists, Democratic Party loyalists, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can't open other people's eyes unless you're out there to help, like give them a contrast. And look at us. And Shirley, for one, she's always lumped in, like her husband calls her a Trump supporter. She's not a Trump supporter. She's just definitely not a Hillary supporter. And so the liberals are just equating non-support of Hillary as just support of Donald Trump. Like it's black and white. There is no gray in between. Like they don't know who Gary Johnson is. They don't know who Jill Stein is. All they say is, yeah, they're just crazies. Who wants these crazies when you can have Hillary? Like they don't see a contrast, because all they see is the opposite, the polar opposite.
Right. It's that team sports mentality.
Yeah.
But as that just is, I don't know, just keeps going, it becomes harder and harder, I just think, to find the right and play sources that you can trust. So, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of crazy shit circulating. Whatever this QAnon thing is, I heard Jamarl talking, but somebody called in, was talking about it, and said that just anybody can go in and like edit that. I mean, I don't know. I guess a lot of people are getting information from that.
Yeah, I mean, wikis can be the same.
Yeah. Is this? What is this Q? Do you know anything about that?
QAnon is. No, I'd rather not say, because I don't really I haven't looked into it. I've heard
late anyway, but
rationalize it like other people's views on what QAnon is, but I don't want to go on based on other people's opinions and not based on what I didn't research.
I wanted to say that I had an idea for Stork. I was thinking that like it's so important to get reliable information, or like good knowledge or good facts or something. Like he has such a vast arsenal of knowledge and stuff. It would be like cool for him to start some kind of like something. I mean, like something like a combination of like a video Reddit or like panel of scientists. Like if you could get like 4 Snorks and then like have them run like some kind of like Wikipedia, you know, that was like really just like reliable knowledge regarding blah 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 blah, and then just like more authoritative like knowledge in his fields, in science, just general science knowledge. Like that, I mean, it's probably already out there on the internet, but it would be cool that if everything within some webpage or body of work was all up on some level of, you know, quality guaranteed, you know.
I've got a project like that coming up.
Awesome.
So all I can say is, for anything anonymous, you can't trust it 100%. I mean, if it can be non-biased and have proof and verifiable proof, then you could look at it in that light. But just because someone anonymous says something that's circumstantial, can't do it. I mean, that's another thing I want to discuss. Like, there's circumstantial evidence can be important, and that's also something that's way overlooked. Is like mainstream media is like, oh, that's just circumstantial evidence, it's not direct evidence. But you have court cases where they make a decision based on circumstantial evidence. It's like, say, a truck, like one instance is a truck driver and just someone driving a car, and they ran into each other, and they're just, he said, she said, truck driver and a car driver. And so who do you believe? And then basically, if the truck driver is saying, hey, the car ran into me, it drove into the left lane, and the car's like, no, the truck ran into me, it was driving, it went into the right lane. But then what say a lawyer or the person was saying is like, hey, look, we can't know for sure, but the driver in the car is half a mile from their exit. So why would they be in the very left lane, going to the left lane, if they're almost to their exit? So that circumstantial evidence is that, yeah, more likely that the truck ran into that car rather than the car running into the truck going the opposite direction of where they're going to exit from. Now, this could be totally different if their exit was maybe like 25 miles away. So, I mean, that type of circumstantial evidence can be very effective in determining what he said, she said type of thing. So
yeah, it matters.
Yeah, it matters.
Definitely matters.
But you hear from mainstream media, and again, people shouldn't, that circumstantial evidence isn't direct evidence and shouldn't be held in account.
Yeah, except we have no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, and this fucking story won't die.
Yeah.
So does anybody else think that, like, or have the same inkling that, or feeling or hunch that like, you know, and heard about that, like, you know, the internet's going to be, it's going to be like monetized more in the future. Like it needs to be to a point to where, you know, writers or people who are creating something like that would be like compensated more. Like I think that I've heard that and I feel that. I mean, I was just wondering if anybody else had like, and I mean, it might be out there now. Like, I mean, Washington Post wants to, or Washington Journal, I forgot, or they want to charge you for articles, like, or after you, some of them, like after you read a couple, then it's like, now you have to pay if you want full articles. I think how much do you think that's on the horizon as a thing in the future? And like maybe that could be tied into like Snork's project, like if you could build information that people had to pay for. But because if it was done well, if it was done for the right purposes, it could be really, really great. But if it's done just another pop way to make much money and feed the middlemen's pockets, then, you know, it'd probably be annoying.
It's like, it doesn't matter. Like I get so many emails from New York Times saying, hey, you could have so many free days, like CBS, right? I wanted to watch one of the football games, my wife did, and so I signed up, and you get a week free. And then so I went to unsubscribe, and they go, you know what, we'll give you a month for free, see if you like it. Same thing with the TiVo.
Comcast.
Yeah, TiVo is like, we no longer watch cable. They're saying, well, you know what, you can just pay $99 and you don't have to pay anymore. You're in for free. And it's like, they want you to keep watching mainstream media. They want you to keep watching cable. And they'll do it for free if they have to, but you know what? If they can get money out of it, they'll also take that too.
Right. Yep. Okay, I think I'm getting too tired to make sense.
There's got to be videos. There's got to be even written knowledge that would be worth so much money that people actually pay for it. Maybe article by article. There'll probably be videos too. I mean, what's a better video than a video about like knowledge? I don't know. There's so much entertainment.
Yeah, people's attention spans, though, they can't go on for 5-6 hours like us.
Right? No. And that's why we need those reliable sources that we can like quickly go to. That was the trouble I was having when I was trying to find stuff about the memo, is I just needed, I didn't have time to sit there and dig, but good luck with that, because there isn't.
Look at Decipher You, Susie D and Elizabeth Voss. They kind of did a segment on it. So
Okay. Yeah, I do read her stuff. Disobedient
Media, yep.
Yeah.
I'll DM you a few links that I go international. I like to try and find those offshoot independent international ones, because I get to find out shit that none of our media covers.
Oh yeah, share those with me. I just, I used to have a couple that I would always go to check. Like, I still think Glenn Greenwald is good, but there were kind of issues with The Intercept, and Real News Network's good, but it's just in a crunch. You just want to get the facts quickly. It's just hard to do. So yeah, I would love, if you have any more, send it to me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm getting too tired to make any more sense. So
it was such a pleasure to be with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thanks for coming back.
Huh?
Thanks for coming back and giving us a good report on Unrig.
Yeah, I wish I had been to more of them, but it was a lot going on in a short time. But I hope that it's kind of like we expected, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's good to know that, like, hey, we expect it to be another Democratic event, but we won't know for sure unless we actually had someone there saying, "Hey." Yeah,
And see, I trust you. I don't trust anybody that was there but you. So I'm glad that you went.
And it's not like you're coming back saying, "Hey, the Democrats have it all under control now. You guys should go back to voting Democrat."
No. What I really want to do, maybe the People's Party will. I don't know. I hope they don't just get absorbed by the monster that is the DNC. But I would love to see a real independent. A true independent summit. I'm talking like really across the board, across the political spectrum.
Let's just forget parties for now. Let's just focus on what we need.
But we have to get real. We're not going to sit here and talk about, well, maybe the Russian narrative will, fall apart. Then we can get somewhere. I know. All these years later, we're still sitting.
Let's try to get donations for like the Russia case to bust Putin and Trump's collusion. Like we can get like $10 million probably. Then but there's like a little like subtle clause, like fine print that says if there's no actual tangible evidence that shows up in 6 months, all the money goes to making parks and clean water. And then
But my biggest argument is, okay, so it's been over a year now since we've been under Russian rule, and Congress and our national security agencies, FBI, CIA, NSA, they haven't done jack shit. So okay, what do we do? We should fire all our congressmen. We should fire all our security agencies. We should stop pouring money to them because they obviously can't do their job. If a little Russian,
we're still under Putin.
Yeah, if we're under Putin's rule.
Good way to put it. Oh, okay. This is the last thing I'm going to say, really, because I'm too tired to make sense. But I got to tell you about this article. Does anybody read Consortium News? And it's very sad that Robert Perry died recently. But that was another one I always would go to, and they write a lot about Russia. And I just read this article today, and it was talking about Putin, and it was in a favorable light, but it's really interesting. Go to Consortium News. I'm sure it's in the top, recent ones. But it's someone that had actually met Putin and worked over there. But basically, the gist of it was that Putin came in and got rid of all the corrupt oligarchs, and that was when the whole anti-Russia stuff started up. It's kind of like did the US not like that he was doing that? Like there was a story where some Russian whatever wealthy oligarch person was selling part of the oil company with another country, and it made me think of Uranium One. Oh, hi, Eric.
How you doing?
But he said, no, hell no, that's not happening. Anyway, you got to read it. It goes through this whole thing about what Putin did to come in and clean shit up, and it's kind of interesting.
I'd love to meet Putin.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm, I joke about being a Putin puppet, but I just thought it was very interesting because it was all about what he did to clean things up and say, no, this isn't happening anymore. And then they actually talked to someone that knew him from when he was a young kid, and they said he was poor, and that he would stand up to bullies that would bully other kids on the playground. It was interesting. I mean, I guess it made him very likable, but I thought, he was cleaning up the corruption. And
yeah, I mean, we know how much our media lies to us, so it kind of makes you double think. It's is everything they're telling about Putin true? Are they not?
And then Putin didn't chop down a cherry tree.
Well, I've got childhood friends that moved to Russia, and I still am in contact with them. A band that I was a part of for a year over here, they went back to Russia. They had to go back, and they love Putin.
I know. I talked to some people who are Russian, and they say they don't like Putin. So
yeah, that's what my friend here, the mom
Do
friend.
they say they don't like them, or do they hate them? I mean, I don't see hate.
I'll have to ask again.
Yeah.
Well, my Russian friend, she's my age, and she moved here when she was in her early 20s. So it was before Putin was even president. So what she remembers of Russia was like there was no food on the shelves and things like that. So she has a kind of a negative view of Russia. She was actually born in Armenia and moved there when she was young. But anyway, hers is very negative. And then there's another friend of hers that feels the same way. But they all left Russia before Putin. So I don't know. We don't know. But I mean, we know that there are you're prosecuted for being gay, and we know that he's very much a social conservative. We know what was that band, Pussy Riot. I mean, I don't doubt that all those things are true, but I think the way that he's demonized by our media, I just thought it was very interesting, that focus on him getting rid of the oligarchs and the corruption and the money in the government. And I was like, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, do you want to show Kelley your hat? Because she hasn't seen it yet.
I bought it for satirical purposes.
Okay.
I love how he does a disclaimer every time.
Yes, I bought it for satirical purposes, and it's meant to offend people. So I'm gonna show.
Awesome.
I'm gonna show.
Okay.
Because apparently offending somebody.
Oh my God! Do you have a pussy hat?
Oh,
no, even better.
Okay.
You should get one too.
He would look so cute.
You put a pussy hat over the MAGA hat.
Oh, you blew it.
Oh my God! I should crochet you a pussy hat, Eric.
Yes, it would look so adorable in one.
Yes, just so I could just offend people.
That's
since
really funny.
people get offended by the hat.
Well, you know what? I should have gotten someone to take a picture of me when we were in Florida at my sister's house, and my brother-in-law had a hat that said Trump, finally someone with balls. And as a joke, I was wearing it that night, like at this bonfire. And my niece was just looking at me like, what the hell? I'm like, it's a joke. Really?
Exactly. Yes, I could just bring this and just put it on and see if I could just offend people.
Mm-hmm. Those are made in China, right?
Nope, it's
That would be ironic.
No, it's an official one. It was made in USA.
Oh, okay. Wasn't there some stink about that all his merchandise was made in China, or was that just made up? Maybe that was made up.
Who knows? The materials could be made in China, and then it could just be brought over to the U.S. and sewn together here or whatever.
So I went over to Qingdao, China in 2008 when the Olympics was going on, and there was like a port. It was like the Ocean Olympics happening in Qingdao, where I was at, and the torch was put out in France by protesters over Tibet, and that was a big deal. The Chinese media and Chinese people were all upset about it. Like it was an insult to China. And I was like, thinking like, yeah, we've taken over plenty of countries. It's kind of funny for like France and America to be all offended or, upset about Tibet, And but then I remember like, I don't know. I think it was after I'd been to like Beijing or stuff like way later. I remember like maybe 5 years later, I remember stumbling across like some videos that was like talking about Tibet's independence and it was some of the videos like really swayed me one way, and then I watched other videos and like documentary things that really swayed me the other way. So it's like I think that the truth is weird. It's just like everybody has an angle, and it depends on how you think about it. And I mean, I guess in the case of Tibet, there's really like a case that you could argue either way. Like throughout history, it went back and forth in different hands and stuff. So.
And
well, that's true. Like with the Putin article I read, and what I like to do is kind of read things from multiple angles, because I think when you do that, you can triangulate, and the truth is somewhere in, you see what themes are repeated, and somehow you get to something resembling the truth by doing that. But
You
anyway,
should also.
well, Eric,
What makes it more
had that
suspicious?
hat.
What makes it more suspicious, Kelley, is like what's going on in China right now with the same well-known, well broadcast, like it's well reported or covered. Similar things.
What were you doing there? That's cool. You went. What were you doing there?
I was teaching and learning.
Oh. Cool.
One of the things I think that's also misleading is when we have our final product and it says it's made in China, made in USA, made in wherever, it's that made in tag is based on the final product of where it's made. It doesn't tell you where the materials are from. So you could have all your materials from, say, China, and then you ship it all over, and the final product's made in, like, say, like Hawaii or some place in like Florida or something, and it'll just be made in USA. But
yeah, was it like the Kia cars? There was something about that with Kia, I believe it was. Maybe it was Saturn. But yeah, they say made in the USA because it was assembled here, but none of the parts came from here. But anyway.
That's almost all cars.
Well, hey, Eric, you should have had that hat at the Unrig Summit.
What was that, Snark?
That's almost all cars.
Oh,
the goal was to change 7% per year of parts to increase in the foreign output. Back in 2008 was when I heard that number. And in 2008, we were at a little over 20,000 of the 27,000 parts in a standard American car, average American car, were made offshore. Majority of those were put into subcomponents, and most of them actually came into Mexico, where just a few components were put into modules, and then the modules were shipped to the United States and just snapped together. Very little work. Just a few percentage of the pieces was put together in the United States.
Yeah. So you gotta watch out for the made in USA sometimes.
All right, I'm gonna go sleep, but yeah, Eric, you should have had that hat at the Unrig Summit.
I would have been like, people are gonna get these hats on again for 2020, but like we're gonna put them on, and we're like, you know what? If you're not willing to change anything, then you're gonna see this once again, and you're gonna get offended by this once again.
Yeah, could be. 2018 will tell us a lot, I think.
But definitely. This is going to be an exciting year.
Yeah. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night, Kelley.
Thanks, Kelley. You take care. Have
thanks
a good
for coming
one.
on.
Right. Bye.
Good night.
So do you guys want to keep going? I think I need to get back and just sleep. But if you guys want to keep going, I'm going to end the stream and just do an open topic. Anything goes. You guys okay?
Sure. I'm just working the other screens. Whatever you guys want to do is fine with me.
Okay. So I'm going to stop the stream real quick, everybody, and I'm going to do open topic.